Khumbudzo Njaveni says an additional 2,500 megawatts of electricity will be fed into the national grid at the end of September this year. She was speaking in Pretoria following a cabinet meeting held yesterday. Njaveni says that the government is on track to reach 150 days without load shedding.
Today we are on 148 days without load shedding, and this milestone has been achieved with a reduction in the use of OCGT, resulting in 10.21 billion rands savings in the cost of diesel compared to the same period last year. The work of the National Energy Crisis Committee, NECOM, that is working with ESCOM, is bearing fruit to make sure that South Africa finally gets rid of load shedding.
Floyd Shivambu says he did not betray anyone but chose to defend the revolution when he decided to join the MK party. He resigned as the EFF deputy president last week to join the MK. Following his resignation, EFF President Julius Malema lambasted party members who, in his view, silently betrayed the party for what he described as greener pastures. Shibambu has been appointed as the national organizer of the MK party. He says he voluntarily joined the MK for the right reasons.
Because revolution is the content of what we're standing for. It's not just, no, if it's me, you are betraying me. You know, some people will say, you are betraying me. Where does that enter? And you don't even once suggest that I'm betraying the revolution. I will never betray the revolution. And President Zuma, when he was inducting all of us yesterday, he says that we might be friends, or we might think we're friends, but friendship won't apply here.
And in international news, police in Kenya are offering a cash reward for information leading to the capture of a serial murder suspect who escaped from custody. Collins Jumaisi Kalusha escaped alongside 12 suspects from the Gigiri police station in the capital Nairobi on Tuesday. 8 police officers have since been suspended and 5 charged in court over the escape, which the police said was aided by insiders. Recapping the top story at 3 o'clock, more than 10,000 City of Joburg employees affiliated with SAMWU have blocked off the M1 and M2 highways in Braamfontein and the Joburg CBD over a wage dispute. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemeli.
And coming up in your sports this hour, Orlando Pirates hoping to book their second round spot in the CAF Champions League tomorrow. And Banyana forward exits Mexico, signs in the US, while G-Sport announces finalists for the G-Sport Awards. More details at 3:30.
Tucks have a great plan to illustrate that they are not just intelligent students in class, but on the field of play as well. Meanwhile, the Zuma-based outfit want nothing except for 3 points to run away from the unpleasant zone. The capital city confronts eThekwini. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Catch the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game, University of Pretoria Ladies FC versus Lindelani Ladies FC on Sunday 25 August at 11 a.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll know your car's value in no time. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
Get your payments done with the utmost security and convenience when you purchase a TV license now. With our new secure payment systems with a one-time PIN, OTP feature, and the choice of receiving your OTP via SMS or email, you can ensure prompt and secure payments. The additional use of capture will protect you against spam and automated data attractions. With TV licenses, you can enjoy watching all your favorite shows or movies that matter to you. Get yours today. visit www.tvlic.co.za.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So what's moving the National Pulse today? Whether you're in the city of Joburg and nothing is moving because parts of the inner city, the highways are at an absolute standstill because of the SAMWU strike that you may have heard about on the news, or you could be somewhere else and the issues around the Eastern Cape. We've been talking about the issues of extortion over the last couple of days, all the issues around the issues of health that emanates in terms of what happens next, and certainly amongst the biggest issues yesterday, the appointment of the new Joburg speaker, and perhaps a push now between the Action Party, Action SA, as well as the ANC regarding the city of Tshwane. We'll see what happens there with regard to the mayor and the speaker. That could actually happen in the next few hours. That's the pace of change that takes place in our country, and of course the same may apply to the MK Party, because we now know who what is called the National High Command, or their top 8, that's been announced, not so much elected but announced. We'll talk about that just now. So you can comment 086 000 2032 for live calls. You can WhatsApp in voice note or text form 0614 104 107. Do use social media. You can tweet, you can Facebook, tag SAFM Radio, tag me, Ashraf Garda. And indeed, welcome to the show. Hashtag The National Pulse. And as always, I appreciate the feedback we get and the attempts we try to do to connect with you, and your attempts to connect with us in creating and driving what we call the National Pulse. Let me just throw this out to you now because it's so imminent. If you are in the city of Joburg, on the M1 highway that, moving around the Empire Road and Jan Smuts Avenue, which is very close to, very close to the SABC, in fact, in Auckland Park, but also very close to where Wits University is right now. If you are there and you're stuck in the jam, because I understand there's really two issues. There's the SAMWU workers who go on strike and they have claims that they want to protest about, and then you've got the commuters in their cars who are stuck in this gridlock. And I understand that the waiting rate at this point in time is 2 hours. In fact, Temba Dlamini, our producer, well, Temba's not here today because he's just down the road. He's stuck on the highway, and if he's listening to us, Temba, there's nothing stopping you taking a picture, because I know you're not driving, just taking a picture and tweeting it out and say, hey, this is where I am. So if you are on that highway and you're gridlocked or deadlocked and you're stuck there and you want to send a picture of where you are and what your experience is like, just post it out on WhatsApp, and you can do the same thing on the social media platforms. We will certainly pick it up. We are going to talk about the MK Party first things first. We now know there was a huge conversation we've had on air, off air, in terms of when Floyd Shivambu moved from what I called it the political transfer of the season, when he moved from the EFF to the MK Party. The big question is, what position would he get? And many said, well, they'll create even the presidency for him, or the deputy president, keeping in mind he was already the deputy at the EFF. So what would convince him in terms of position to move to the MK Party? He already had said that, in fact, no, he is going to, he's really not worried about the positions. He'll see what comes out of it, right? Well, we now know that he's not the president. He's certainly not the deputy president either, but he's what is called now the MK Party's national organizer. The national organizer, which really means building the branches. That's where I understand it, and building the support at grassroots. This is what Floyd Shivambu said.
Forward. So the attempt for unification is not just an opportunistic one because there were electoral declines of the EFF and all of those things. It's a genuine political discussion which all South Africans must enter into, those who are in favor of the revolution. Because revolution is the content of what we're standing for. It's not just, no, if it's me, you are betraying me. Some people will say, you are betraying me. Where does that enter? And you don't even once suggest that I'm betraying the revolution. I will never betray the revolution. Because we're not in the business of trying to please each other's egos here. We're in the business of building a revolutionary movement that is going to emancipate the black majority and Africans in particular, and we're unapologetic about that. That is what we stand for. And President Zuma, when he was inducting all of us yesterday, he says that we might be friends, or we might think we're friends, but friendship won't apply here. If you do not do these things right, you're going to be taken care of appropriately. Some people...
Okay, that's what he said. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Floyd Shivambu, not now, but as soon as we can. Looking forward to that conversation. What we do have is a conversation with Dr. Fikile Vilakazi. I just want to check if he's on the line, if we can connect with him. We certainly can. He's a political analyst based at the University of the Western Cape. Dr. Vilakazi, appreciate your time. You're on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and to listeners at home.
Thank you
for inviting me.
So here's the first things first. What would, now that we know who the MK Party's National High Command is, the top 8, what impact does that have actually on the National Pulse?
Look, I mean, I think it's confirming, first and foremost, the things that you've been saying, that I think conservatives had no particular structure. It was not ready to handle elections, but it just jumped and there was no sense of direction. But it looks like now that they are putting a national, command in place, they are sort of preparing themselves as an organized form to ready themselves for elections. And and they're still looking. I don't think that they actually have done a complete job. But it looks like they are headhunting. I mean, that's the feeling that I got when I listened to what they were saying. Basically, literally saying that the president, Jacob Zuma, is doing underground work at this point as we speak. Which my analysis of that is that he is headhunting wherever he can get the best of the cream. He's going to take it from anywhere it comes from. And I think the migration of Floyd is just one of those, that shows us that. So they're absolutely going out for it to 2029. They want to be the government of the country. And it seems that they firmly believe that they probably should have been to come around with their claim of election rigging, and it seems that they're also intending to continue in that path.
Okay,
so
let's do this.
Them really establishing themselves.
Okay, let's run through this National High Command, and I mean, if we're starting with the obvious, that's Jacob Zuma. I think that's a given. But perhaps the most significant one is that head of the national organizer, Floyd Shivambu. So he's not the president. He's not the deputy. Where would you put his position in terms of seniority?
Ashraf, your line is a little bit faint. I'm not sure why, but I'm
all right. Let me just try. Let me repeat. I was saying Floyd Shivambu's position as now what is called the national organizer. Where would you put that position or place that position in terms of the MK top 8 seniority?
I think it's a strategic deployment, where Floyd is, because, I mean, the national organizer is going to be very, very close to the Secretary General. And the Secretary General is an engine of an organization when we talk about political systems, right? And if you are preparing for 2029, chances are that this is just an entry point for Floyd, and in the position of national organizing, they really want him to build structures, to build branches, to build really stronger on the ground. So he's a ground force to basically bring the masses to be able to vote. So he's preparing the voter base and strengthening the voter base, but not just in numbers, but in terms of ideology as well, in terms of strength of leadership and so on, which is something that I think people claim that Floyd has been able to do for the EFF.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right, here's the thing. I mean, is the position of national organizer, is that that's Floyd's position, that is that a good position for the MK in terms of how potentially the MK can leverage Floyd Shivambu's position to grow the party? And is it good for Floyd Shivambu himself?
I think if you look at the scheme of things, I don't think that Floyd is going to stay longer there. I think really it's just a strategy to say help us to build, But I think there's a particular role that Floyd is going to take come 2029. But for Floyd to be able to take that particular role in Parliament, remember the NK is saying that they want to separate the centers of power. They want those who lead the organization ideally not to be the ones who lead parliament. So they are separating organizational issues from legislative issues. So they, in my view, this is my reading, they're actually saying to Floyd, you cannot go to parliament until you are known by the base of Umkhonto we. So bring to the base, let the people know what you stand for, let the people know who you are, so that when you then say to the people in 2029, you need to be the president of Umkhonto we, people then will say, yes, Floyd has led us in branches, Floyd has led us on the ground. But they can't just now take Floyd and put him in parliament, because the fact that, of course, Floyd is known in EFF is not the same as in Umkhonto we. Remember, this is a different voter base. You're talking about, this is the person close with the Secretary General who's going to be now mobilizing the kingdoms, mobilizing royalty. A new constituency, I would imagine, for Floyd. So he needs to really work hard to show who he is and capabilities in that particular segment of the population of Umkhonto we.
And also, the point that was made, and I think you've touched on it, that I think it was very clear that none of what is considered the leadership of the MK party will be in Parliament, and they would actually be outside of Parliament, and that would include, of course, Jacob Zuma, and in this case now Floyd Shivambu too, maybe different with the Deputy President, by the way, but also the point that those in Parliament will not give directives to the leadership outside of Parliament. It will come the other way around. How significant do you attach to that strategic statement?
The fact that some of them won't be in Parliament and the others, I'm struggling with the line, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, I was saying, how strategic would that be in terms of the directive would come the other way around, not from those in Parliament, but from those outside of Parliament?
I didn't hear the part of the picture. Sorry. I don't know what's happening with the line.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what, we are struggling. Let's maybe just leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
Appreciate you giving off your time. Maybe we'll have another chat sometime down the line, Dr. Fikile Vilakazi. So maybe it's up to you as the audience. You tell me, you're part of this greater National Pulse community. What do you make? Some of the key takeouts in terms of that top 8 is what is called the National Command, right? What do you make of it? And let me just run through it so that you know. The president is Jacob Zuma. The deputy president is Dr. John Klope. The secretary general is Sifiso Maseko. The deputy secretary general is Nombuso Mkhize. The national organizer, we now know, Floyd Shivambu. The national chairperson is Nkosinathi Nhleko. The deputy national chairperson is Wilson Sibelwani. And the treasurer general, just one treasurer, no deputy, just treasurer general, Menzi Magubani. So that makes up their top 8. That's the command. Someone saying, no national elective conference, what happened there? Let's in their defense, it's a brand new party. They've absolutely punched way above their weight for a new party at this point in time. It takes months to get them together. So this would be the formation as it stands now. There could well be an elective conference down the line. I don't know. But this is what they have now, that leadership. So maybe not so much elected, but appointed. What do you make of this formation of this party, the top 8, the structure, the people who are in it, who's left out? Surprise. Any names that puzzle you that's been left out? There's no other EFF person there, by the way, former EFF person besides Floyd Shivambu. But any other nuances? Someone spoke about the issue of gender equality or gender inequality, other forms of diversity. If you have any take on all of that, I'd like you to call in. In fact, I'll take some calls right away. 086 000 2032. And then you can voice note me, 0614 104 107. Short, sharp voice notes, 30 seconds. It really helps on that issue, right? Okay, we'll take your thoughts right after this.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Dzonga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat. On and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Every day our children are exposed to relentless marketing of unhealthy foods where they live, learn and play. This aggressive marketing of unhealthy foods to children can shape their eating habits and food preferences for the rest of their lives. I'm your host, Crystal Audison. is big food stalking our children? Watch Chew on This on healer.org on Thursday, 15th August at 3 p.m.
The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma upumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish, see if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day, where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy.
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
I suppose considering, there's been very, very public in Parliament spats in the past between Jacob Zuma and Floyd Shivambu, many have been surprised that even Floyd would do business in some form or the other with Jacob Zuma, but that's a done deal now. Yesterday's enemies, today's friends. What therefore does Jacob Zuma think and make of Floyd Shivambu?
You don't know. They're politicians and politicians. This comrade I've known from when he was very young in the ANC Youth League. That's when I picked him up that he is a real politician. His politics, which I defy as scientific politics. This young man. He's a young man to me, don't worry that he's big than me anymore. Honest politician. Honest. Clear politically. He takes decisions at the right time. For good reasons. And I'm happy that today he told what you all did not know. That when I started, after taking a decision to fight the African National Congress underground, and I had an opportunity to say we needed to come to correct politics about our country and our operations or whatever.
Okay, we'll hopefully play more clips from Jacob Zuma and others from that MK Party media conference that was billed as the State of the Nation address. I think it was, but certainly it's a media conference or media briefing. Absolutely right. Let's get to your thoughts and your comments on whatever it is that moves the national pulse today. And clearly the MK Party issue is one, and the non-moving of motor cars in Joburg is another issue that moves the national pulse. If you're there, stuck on the highways between Jan Smuts Avenue and Empire Road, Johannesburg, close to Wits University, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Send us a picture, a video clip of the experiences that you've had right now outside the actual grievances of the striking Samwu workers, because we'll talk about that too. Okay, let's get your thoughts. Johnny in Polokwane. Hi, Johnny.
How are you, Mr. Garda?
I'm very good. Leave the Mr. Just Ashraf. If I call you Johnny, you call me Ashraf. We chommies then, right?
Oh, no problem, Ashraf.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, Ashraf. Look, the interim structure, the interim national structure of the MKP, to me, it seems like we will never see the MKP going to a elective conference. Because if you look at how it's structured, that it shows that they will want to run and continue like that without them being elected. We know Jacob Zuma, the reason why he has been chopping people in the interim structure is because they wanted to challenge him. So, to me, that's just like the EFF, where if Zuma does not agree with you, and then he hears that you want to contest him, then he chop your head. So I think that political party, I give it 2 years, it won't survive. If it can go to elective conference and emerge after that, then yes, that it will have a life. But I know that prior to the elective conference, there are going to be issues, and Jacob Zuma is the one who's going to kill the organization. Thank you very much.
We'll see. Some might say he's the one who's growing the organization in one election without even proper branch structures. They've already done better than the EFF in one election. That's remarkable. Johnny in Polokwane, thanks for that. Let's get to Mike. Mike in Durban. Hi, Mike.
Sure. It's just my opinion.
Yep.
Floyd has jumped the wrong ship at the wrong time. And I think Floyd realizes that in the EFF he cannot go any further than where he is. So he's testing the waters to see how much support he has in the EFF. And as far as the MK party goes, President Zuma is not doing this for the correct reasons. He's doing it for ulterior reasons, for his own personal revenge against the ANC. It's not that he can do at his age. There's nothing he can do. You know, he needs to go on holiday. He's not going to be living until 120 years old.
Okay, so you're saying wrong is jumped for the wrong reasons. Where should he jump for the right reasons then?
No, he shouldn't jump. He should stay in his position because they have the similarity in politics, in their views. So he should have just stayed there or started his own little party. So he jumped ship thinking, because Zuma doesn't have much longer to be there. If he can take over that people that voted for Zuma, so he's already got a head start with 1.5 million voters.
Okay.
But do you remember, these voters are not genuine because they just did it to support Zuma for nothing. For no other
well, we don't know that
reason.
for sure. I mean, some may say that applies to every other single political party as well. Mike, appreciate your input. Let's get further comments. The function, hashtag the National Pulse. The functions of the MKP organizer makes Floyd a senior SG and second deputy president of MK. Comes from Zetu in Klebeka. Okay, interesting take, Zetu. Another, Jacob Zuma is proving his political craftsmanship. The fact that he's part of a national dialogue is proof of that. He has a different recipe for politics. I wonder what that recipe may be, right? And of course, there are comments about that Floyd position.
Hello, SAFM listeners. I'm Jim Shimela from Bloemfontein, Pumulong. You know what I think about this position that MK gave Floyd Shivambu? I can tell you, Floyd Shivambu is going to be the president because he's going to organize each and every branch in this country. Then at the end, all the branches will elect Floyd Shivambu. He's going to be the president.
But the question is when? How soon will that happen, right? Here's another Floyd Shivambu comment.
Hi, SAFM, this is KM. You know, according to Shivambu issue, I don't have words to can say. Mine is just to say, wow. Wow, Shivambu. Wow. You know, we South Africans, we are taken for a ride because of this politics of the stomach. We are sick and tired of these leaders. They must just keep quiet and do the job in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Okay, wow, Floyd Shivambu. What else would you, maybe here's a question to all of you, because I like these one-worders. We did it yesterday, right? Remember that with the outgoing Chief Justice. What's your one word to describe your feelings of the MK party today? Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. Just one word. I don't need more than that. One word to describe your feelings of the MK party today. Think about that. Let's get the news headlines. Here's Majupi.
And a very good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, more than 10,000 City of Joburg employees affiliated with SAMU have blocked off the M1 and M2 highways in Braamfontein and the Joburg CBD over a wage dispute. The Northern Cape has rolled out a mass vaccination drive at Delportsdorp following a measles outbreak at 4 schools in the area, and protests have erupted in the Indonesian capital Jakarta over planned changes to the electoral laws. Details of these and other stories, 4 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Here are two major backlogs at the minute around the country. One is the run between Durban and Pietermaritzburg. There's been some blasting underway at Clifton Road is being closed. Traffic backlogging both directions. Looks like it may have been reopened, but there's some very heavy traffic in that area, particularly if you're on your way to Pietermaritzburg coming up the M13 from Hillcrest or the N3 through Key Ridge. It's all heavily backed up, and it looks like the Durban-bound carriageway is on the move again, but heavy delays. Now, as you heard in the news, the Mike 1 Highway in Joburg is completely closed by the striking and protesting SAMU members. The highway is an extensive closure from St Andrews Road on the Parktown side right through to the Crown interchange. Nothing moving through that part of Joburg. There's various roads that are closed around Braamfontein. There's some very heavy traffic diverting off the highway closure through Braamfontein Central as well. Absolutely gridlocking in there. The M2 that was also closed has been reopened, but that's heavy between Joe Slovo and the Crown City West area in both directions. City West and the Crown local routes are badly backed up. And just give you an idea how bad the traffic is if you're coming down from Santon, the Mike 1 into that closure at St Andrews, backed all the way through to Glenhove Road. Stay off the Mike 1 South. Use some side roads. Stay away from Braamfontein for the time being as well. Oh, and just driving into Cape Town, the N1 was closed earlier today at Sable Road due to a fatal crash. The road has been open for probably just over an hour. Traffic flow restored. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumin Khapeli.
I promise you, this is the Minister of Sport, but she's wearing an Orlando Pirates top. And if you doubt it, I'll take a... It's live. Actually, you can go to the streaming live now on Twitter and Facebook, and you will see Tumi wearing an Orlando Pirates top. So let's start with Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. It's because they're in action tomorrow. And talking about Pirates, the captain, Innocent Maila, says that they have no choice but to win tomorrow's clash against Disciples as they look to advance to the second preliminary round of the CAF Champions League. The Buccaneers were held to a goalless draw by the side from Madagascar in the first leg on Sunday, and a draw with goals will see Pirates crash out of the continental showpiece, something Maila says that they will definitely fight against. The match kickoff is at 7:30. Then Cape Town City have confirmed the signing of former France junior international striker Amadou Sokuna. The 32-year-old has previous experience in the PSL during a successful 2-year spell with Maritzburg United, where he scored 11 goals in 35 starts in all competitions. In the meantime, Banyana forward Hilda Mahaya has left Mexican side Mazlatan FC to sign for Kansas City Current in the National Women's Soccer League in the USA. Breadwinner, as she's affectionately known, will spend the season on loan in the NWSL, but the American have an option to secure her on a permanent basis at the end of the loan spell. Then moving on to cricket action, rain delayed the start of the second day's play on the first test between England and Sri Lanka at Old Trafford today. England were 22 for no loss overnight after Sri Lanka recovered from 6 for 3 to be bowled out for 236 in the first innings yesterday. Earlier on, they had gone in for drinks. However, England now sitting on 90 for 3 after 18 overs, and they trail by 141 runs. Then moving on to netball, Sport Proteas head coach Jenny van Dijk says that she is pleased that the players are adapting well to the new technical staff as they wrap up their week-long training camp. Van Dijk added that the camp afforded them time for assistant coach Zanele Mdodana to assess the progress of the team and to help new players blend into the new system. The Proteas will face a test against Malawi in the Sport Challenge next month, and possibly against other African teams, which Netball South Africa has extended invitations. Then the finalists of the 2024 Momentum G Sport Awards were unveiled today here at the SABC. Tatiana Smith, Laura Fulvard and Kotato Munjane are the headline finalists for this year's awards. Smith is nominated as she made history, becoming the first South African female to win a world title with her 200-meter breaststroke victory at the World Aquatics Champs in July 2023, and then obviously went on to become the most decorated South African after her gold and silver at the Olympics. Meanwhile, Fulvard is nominated for the role that she's playing serving as the Proteas woman captain and Munjani after clinching the US Open and Wimbledon doubles title over the past year. Definitely excited to see who's going to walk away as the winners. However, a big congratulations to all the finalists. I'm definitely looking forward to the awards that are taking place on the 12th of September. On that note, it is a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
So, just a question on that awards, the G Sport Awards. I mean, how much currency does it hold? I mean, it's not government, for example. It's not sports specific, but of course it's women only, and I know how it's grown over the years. How much currency does it hold for people, for women in the media, in the sports fraternity?
A lot. I mean, just being a finalist, you might not win that category that you're in, but the fact that you are nominated means that now you are known in the country, and also potential for sponsorships to also come on board for you as someone that was nominated, and also just a lot of job opportunities as someone that has been a finalist before at the awards. So much exposure for you, and it's all about the power of recognition. And Kaz has definitely done a great job in terms of just highlighting the different women that are doing different things in the industry that you might not even know about. Because I'm just looking at the category in radio. One of the finalists this year is from Alex FM, and she's absolutely brilliant, but you wouldn't have known about her if it weren't for G Sport Awards. So it's all about recognition.
And here's some trivia. What is it, 12 years now?
19.
Is it 19 years?
19.
Oh my! I'm sure I was I was at the first one. I'm sure about it, but was it 19 years? No, it must have been
19
5
or
years.
18, somewhere there.
Well, no, man, I can't believe
swear.
it. Okay, there we are. Either way, I think I was at the very first one. I can't remember much, but I was there. Kaz will probably verify that. More sport in an hour.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Dzonga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat. On and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2 as the top 8 take on a new challenge. This week, they delve into the world of social media and learn what it takes for a recipe video to go viral online. Working together, they must create their own unique version of a famous social media bake. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday at 7, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. only on SABC2.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Certainly, lots of people very concerned about the traffic issues in the city of Joburg. It's an interesting one for those who are linked to the South African Municipal Workers Union. Their concern would be about their rights to raise grievances, the right to strike on the one hand. Then there's obviously management. Then you're getting the commuters who are stuck in traffic and they feel they've got their rights as well. So you have this tension that inevitably does occur when you have protests and it gets to major highways. It also gets attention, as we know. So what we'll do, we'll have two takes on this issue. We'll chat to the spokesperson for the JMPD in a moment, and if you are stuck in traffic in Johannesburg, send us your pictures and your video clips. You can tweet it directly. Probably the best way to do it, just tweet it out, SFM Radio, and tag me, Ashraf Garda. Otherwise, you can also WhatsApp us. We'll pick it up, 0614 104 107. But first things first, we'll chat to the Samwu Regional Deputy Chairperson. That's Lebo Ndwabo. So, Lebo, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Good afternoon. Right, so the workers, the South African Municipal Workers Union, they have gathered today, I understand. Is it a strike? Is it a protest? What has happened today?
No, it's not a strike. It's just that we had a meeting, and from the meeting, the feedback that the employer gave to employees at Sapi building, it made the situation worse, and members were then angry, and they then moved to the M2 freeway.
So what was the request, and what left them so disgruntled?
Okay, I hope you have enough time, but I'll try and keep it short.
Well, short.
In 1995, the city of Johannesburg stopped paying pay progressions to employees, meaning a worker that was employed got stuck into the entry level, and that was due to the EGOLI 2000. And since then, workers never progressed. So the issue was raised, and it was ignored up until 2016, when Pick It Up went on a strike. That strike took about 5 months until there was political interference, and it gave birth to a document known as PFA, which stands for Political Facilitated Agreement. That PFA intended to address a few things amongst others. Amongst them was the parity, and it was supposed to put back the progression that was stopped in 1995. But the employer did nothing to that effect in that 2016. But in 2018, what now is the burning issue, the city of Johannesburg was moved from category 8, from grade 10 from grade 8 to grade 10. So when the city was moved from grade 8 to grade 10, the city manager and his direct reports, what they then did, they only moved themselves to category 10. They left workers at grade 8. So as a result, workers were disgruntled. Up until recently, on the 31st of July, the city council, the councillors in council, they voted for the city employees' salary to be moved to category 10. But that had no money. The city was a category 10, but in terms of paying, it was not paying people at that category.
So what happened? What happened today? Yeah, what happened today?
So today, the city at a certain point, up until 2 weeks back or so, had agreed to say towards this issue of benchmarking, which moved everybody to category 10, we are going to put in 941 million to then at least that people are able to move towards this ideal amount. Mind you, the money that the city needs in order to pay people correctly, it's 10.3 billion.
Okay.
So they said, okay, we'll try and push 941 million so that within this July, you are then able to move towards something. And even though that 1 billion, it's 10% of what the city owes. But workers were saying it's fair enough, we will try because we understand there's financial issues that are concerned there. Okay. But recently, then the city made a U-turn. Then the city said, we are no longer even going to give you this 941 million. Instead, we will wait until maybe next year, January, February. That's what then.
So was that today where the city said we can't give you anything more? Has that happened today? And did they give a reason why? I mean, is a reason like they don't have the money? Is that a good enough reason for you?
It's not a good enough reason. Mind you, the city pays billions and billions to contractors every month. But we understand that these contractors, the city has got interest in it because we know that they are getting kickbacks. We suggested to them to say, for 1 month, take this 1 billion, give to workers, you suffer with your contractors. But the city was clear to say, no, we can't do that.
But wait, when you say they're getting kickbacks, I mean, is that the city getting kickbacks, or is that individuals within the city getting kickbacks? Because I mean, that would be illegal. The cities, you know, one day I wish investigative journalists can really do their work, and I'm not saying they're not, but they're not doing enough. If journalists don't see that the city is going down the hole or a sinkhole, then I don't know when will they see that. The interference that you are finding from board members, the interference you are finding from MMCs, it is affecting service delivery in the city. Okay. Even now, we are disgruntled as workers because we're not being paid, and that affects service delivery. All right.
Mind you, we are also community members here.
Okay, fine. I'm just going to move on because of time constraints, and there are time constraints, right? We're also going to speak to JMPD in a moment. So they left the meeting disgruntled, and did the workers themselves go on the highways and they chose to block the highways, or were they instructed by the leadership of SAMWU?
No, union works on a different way. Leaders get mandate from workers. So when workers say leaders go left, leaders are obliged because we are mandate driven. So the leadership will never instruct members what to do. Instead, it's the other way around.
Okay, so then the workers instructed the leaders after the meeting to do what?
There is another gentleman who came and addressed the workers. While that gentleman is the GED, could not give answers. The workers, while he was there on the stage, workers said, "We are leaving you in Sabi building. We are going to demonstrate our unhappiness in the M2." That's what happened.
Okay, and I mean, Samwu overall is in agreement with that position. Is that right?
I don't understand when you say it's in agreement.
What I'm saying, you're saying you take the mandate from the workers.
Samu.
So yes, right. So how long will this? Let's call it a blockade, and forgive me if I choose the wrong words. How long will this blockade of the inner city highways in Joburg continue for?
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. Investigative journalist, I don't know how you are working.
But that's why I'm asking you, because I don't know. So what is that?
As we speak, the road is open.
When did it open?
30 minutes ago or so.
But it was blocked,
as we speak, it's open.
Okay, so it was blocked.
I agree. Yes.
Okay,
correct.
so the workers did block the roads up till half an hour ago.
Yes.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Thank you for your time. Lots to emerge from that, as well as the issues of their demands and whether those demands will be met, and if not, then what happens next. That's Lebo Indawo, who's the Samwu Regional Deputy Chairperson. Right. Let's move on now about the impact of the traffic issues in that city. Kolani Fila with us, JMPD spokesperson. Kolani, I appreciate your time. You're live on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity.
Is this the type of day that the JMPD doesn't like because the pulse rate gets racing?
It has been a hectic day in the city of Joburg, but our officers did do their most to ensure that traffic is diverted and the members of public are safe.
Okay. You may have heard Lebo, the spokesperson earlier on, from Samwu saying that in fact now the roads are open. So is that the case?
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, we can confirm that currently both the M2 and the M1 North highways have been reopened for traffic to flow. However, the M1 South remains closed off, and this is due to the rubble that was left behind. Traffic remains heavy in the area, and we are urging motorists to, at this present moment, avoid the M1 South and to use alternative routes while officials work to clear that debris on the highway.
So that will be M1 South, and just forgive me if I'm wrong on this, it's sort of very close to Wits University, between Empire Road and Jan Smuts Avenue, somewhere there before the double-decker highway. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And to be exact, it's at Smith Street in Braamfontein.
Okay, got that. Now, what is your understanding about the actual, let's call it barricading to enforce a road closure by Samwu workers?
No, our understanding, as Mr. Ndawo did allude, that they tried to engage with city leadership, and from there, their disgruntled views were not attended to, and they decided to march to the freeway, which was closed off. But despite that, we did receive further reports that there was no violence that was encountered, only road closures, and from there as well, some type of agreement was reached between them for them to disperse. But what we do understand is that they will convene again tomorrow.
So where they'll convene, that means they will disrupt the highways again tomorrow. Is that what you're saying?
They're convening, not indicating that they will close off the highway, but as a union, they will convene to address the matter.
Okay, I understand. How, I'm trying to understand from two sides. They have issues, they have their rights. There's the employer, there's the city of Joburg. That is an ongoing conversation. Then you get commuters who've been stuck on the highway for a good few hours, right? How do you, as the JMPD, balance that out against workers who want to protest to highlight their grievances, but disrupting many others who then can't get to work, emergencies or not, and they once they get stuck into the midst of the traffic jam, they can't even get out.
No, definitely. As citizens of the country, the Constitution does say that people have the right to protest, but at the same time, your rights shouldn't intervene in other people's rights. But as law enforcement, then we have to engage with whoever is protesting and take the necessary measures to ensure that they either disperse or take other measures. But as I did say, that it wasn't violent, and there was some type of engagement that did happen, and eventually the protesters did disperse.
Okay, just last one, we're going to wrap up in a few seconds. The fact that it wasn't violent doesn't necessarily help the commuters who were stuck in the traffic. The point is, how do you mitigate against that happening again?
What we will do is we'll monitor the area. and of course we'll keep our eyes and ears on the ground to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, with the large number that we did see today, it was a bit overwhelming for our officers, because with the numbers that we did receive, it was close to 10,000 members of SAMU who were protesting. So it does become a bit difficult for us to take hard action against that. So we have to take the necessary measures, and that's through engagement. And
all right.
Fortunately, the crowds weren't violent. So it was.
Let's leave it at that. The big question is, what happens if it happens again? 10,000 people. Can you stop it? Kolani Fila from the JMPD.
Our Tugs have a great plan to illustrate that they are not just intelligent students in class, but on the field of play as well. Meanwhile, the Zuma-based outfit want nothing except for 3 points to run away from the unpleasant zone. The capital city confronts eThekwini. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Catch the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game, University of Pretoria Ladies FC versus Lindelani Ladies FC on Sunday 25 August at 11 a.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Hey Mike, congratulations on your retirement.
Thanks, Landile. Are you preparing for it?
Yes, but not just for myself.
For you and?
For me and my employees.
Oh.
You know, since we moved to Old Mutual Corporate, their retirement funds have not only been safe and secure, but gaining competitive returns through exposure to diverse investment markets.
Impressive.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day, where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
So here's a nudge for you. Tune in to catch the rebirth of Mubanga's new season on SABC2. Every Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. onwards, and experience the drama and excitement with new intriguing characters. So get used to all these names. Dr. Nonhlanhla Qimba, played by Leleti Kumalo, and of course your usual favorites as well, Azindini, Rendani, Teboho, and of course Khosi. So it's a renaissance of new beginnings, love, secrets, betrayal. You got it all. Remember, that's every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. on SABC2.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
It's amazing how many of our stalwarts have passed on, and for some we have big events to commemorate every year, and some we don't at all. But I thought the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation did yesterday was quite interesting. So he would have celebrated his 95th birthday yesterday, and the Kathrada Foundation themselves decided to effectively go on this legacy tour, I would think, reflecting his own life journey. Let's find out more about what they really did and the bottom line to it all with Nishan Balton, who's the Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Nishan, appreciate your time. You're live on the National Pulse.
No, and greetings to your listeners. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. So what did you do? I mean, we know a birthday is a birthday and you have a birthday every single year, but you try to leverage off Ahmed Kathrada specifically around his legacy yesterday, which certainly caught our attention. Tell me about it.
Well, what you might not be aware of is that we've been doing activities for the whole month of August. Everything we've done for the month so far has been linked to what we call Kathy at 95. And in particular, we've highlighted Kathy's links to the women's struggle by our annual visit to the gravesites of the leaders of the 56th March. We have launched the book of Marion Spark, and tonight we'll launch the book of Fatima Mir. We will also highlight Kathy's stance on issues of corruption, with the 3rd anniversary memorial of Babita Deokaran on Friday. And then we've been visiting historical sites. Yesterday was a day-long tour of historical sites, starting off from the place in Lenasia where Ahmed Kathrada lived after his release in '89. From there we moved to Kliptown, and I must say the dilapidation of the Freedom Charter Square is just beyond belief. But nevertheless, we took our staff there so that they could understand the place where the Freedom Charter took place, and its historical significance. Thereafter, we spent a long while in the flat of Ahmed Kathrada, flat 13 Corvette House. We recently screened the movie called Flat 13, so the staff of the foundation had a good insight into it. And then was a walkabout in terms of key historical places that we had time for. The flat Chancellor House, again another historical site that is under lock and key, has not been occupied since 2010, although renovated at the time. And then we traced to Marshall Square, the site of the Great Escape. We struggled to find the place where Babla Saluji was killed by the apartheid police, but that we will take forward. And then we went to Kathrada's flat in Kilani, again explained all that happened there, and from there we went to the exhibition at Constitutional Hill.
Okay,
many more places we didn't have time for. But that was what we accomplished yesterday.
I tell you what, I'm listening to all of this and I'm saying, I can't believe I haven't made time to attend one of those things. And even tonight I may be occupied with other things. And it's just sad because, I mean, it's certainly just you talking about it whets the appetite. But then besides whetting the appetite to wanting to be, to take that same path, right? I mean, there's a clear purpose, say around yesterday. I mean, the clear purpose ultimately would be what?
The clear purpose was to make history alive for the young people who are his legacy bearers. We have found that this entire month they had to become immersed in Kathrada's own history, and yesterday's trip and for the work that we've been doing for the entire month has made this history. We've taken it out of just his history books and papers, and they've walked in his footsteps now.
How do you popularize it big time? I mean, obviously the comparison will be made with Nelson Mandela and the 67 minutes and on that specific day of July 18th. And I'm not saying you must emulate that, but how do you ensure that, I don't know how many people have been participants yesterday and on the other events. How do you ensure that it becomes mass based?
We do it through the youth clubs that we are building. We have 50 youth clubs across Gauteng. And by 2029, we will have a minimum of 100. And it is these youth clubs that we train first and foremost in a workbook that we have on Ahmed Kathrada, and then take them through the steps of activism that, combined with a sense of history, we think has a long-term impact on their lives and affinity to him and his ideals way beyond just a once-a-year celebration.
And just lastly, as we get to news time, especially now as we're grappling with new forms of leadership, right? What's the one thing that you'd like us to take from Ahmed Kathrada's remarkable legacy that we can include no matter which political parties we may support?
I summarize it like this, that his life was really service and sacrifice without the expectation of reward or position. And that's what we drill into our young people, and hope that becomes their defining characters as they proceed in their own public life as the years unfold.
Okay, sacrifice without reward and remuneration, if I got that right. Nishan Bolton, thanks for your time. Feel free to get the Kathrada Foundation to tag us as SFM Radio and tag me, Ashraf Garda, on all your social media platforms, so we'd gladly share that as well. Thank you for that. I think it's really insightful in terms of what they did yesterday. More to come on some of the biggest issues that moves the national pulse coming up in a moment. Let's get the news now. It's 4 o'clock. Here's Madupi.
Ashraf Ashraf Garda. The top stories: SAMU workers take to the streets in Joburg and Shibambu slams betrayal claims. A very good afternoon. More than 10,000 City of Joburg employees affiliated with SAMU have blocked off the M1 and M2 highways in Braamfontein and the Joburg CBD. It's believed that the members are aggrieved over wage disputes following an attempted engagement with the city's leadership this morning. Metro Police spokesperson Xolani Fihla says this is causing heavy traffic disruptions in the area.
Despite the closure, it is reported that the members are not violent and officers have been deployed to divert traffic. Traffic is being diverted at Empire Road on the M1 South, at Boysons Road on the M1 North, the Rissik Street Selby exit on the M2 West, and motorists coming from Crown using the M2 East can join the M1 South and exit at Boysons Road. We urge motorists to exercise extreme caution, avoid the M1 and M2 highways and use alternative routes to avoid the closures.
The Northern Cape has rolled out a mass vaccination drive at Delpoortsdorp following a measles outbreak at 4 schools in the area. The Provincial Health Department closed the affected schools on Tuesday following the infection of over 130 learners in the area. Those affected are mainly grade 4, 5 and 6 learners. These residents are rushing to get their children vaccinated.
My child had measles. The virus is infectious and itchy, and we didn't know if we were also at risk. Some parents have since stopped their children from playing with our children. I kept my child at home for a week, and I'm worried now that they are behind with schoolwork and request the department to have a catch-up plan.
I feel that today's vaccination campaign should have been done at school. Where we are now is very disorganized.
Acting President Paul Mashatile has described the Health Compact as a commitment to achieve universal health coverage and access to affordable medicines for all. He officiated the signing of the second Presidential Health Compact at the Union Buildings today. Mashatile says fixing the country's healthcare system will ensure better health for all South Africans.
If our nation's health is truly to be our nation's wealth, we must fix our healthcare system. A better healthcare system improves health outcomes, increases life expectancy, and lowers the burden of disease.
Floyd Shibambu says he did not betray anyone but chose to defend the revolution when he decided to join the MK party. He resigned as EFF Deputy President last week to join the MK. Following his resignation, EFF President Julius Malema lambasted party members who, in his view, silently betrayed the party for what he described as greener pastures. Shibambu has been appointed as the national organizer of the MK party. He says he voluntarily joined the MK for the right reasons.
Because revolution is the content of what we're standing for. It's not just, no, if it's me, you are betraying me. You know, some people will say, you are betraying me. Where does that enter? And you don't even once suggest that I'm betraying the revolution. I will never betray the revolution. And President Zuma, when he was inducting all of us yesterday, he says that we might be friends, or we might think we're friends, but friendship won't apply here.
And protests have erupted in the Indonesian capital Jakarta over planned changes to the electoral laws. Authorities have used water cannon after some demonstrators tried to tear down the gates of the parliament complex. More from the BBC's Nick Marsh.
Protesters in Jakarta gathered under a banner which said, "Indonesia is not for sale." Earlier this week, they were welcoming a surprise Supreme Court decision that would have made it easier for smaller parties to contest local elections. But within 24 hours, Indonesia's parliament tabled a motion to reverse these changes and maintain the status quo. Observers fear that the power struggle between the parliament and Indonesia's top court could precipitate a constitutional crisis and maybe more chaotic scenes such as those in Jakarta today.
The top story at 4 o'clock, more than 10,000 City of Joburg employees affiliated with SAMU have blocked off the M1 and M2 highways in Braamfontein and the Joburg CBD over a wage dispute. For SAFM News, ke Modupi Makgaleme.
In sports, the Sour Sharks get boost for Derby duel, and Djokovic targets slam record at US Open. More details at 4:30.
SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Good news. The Mike 1 Highway has been reopened through Bramford. It opened up a little while ago. The M2 opened before that. As you heard in the news, the protesters, thousands of them, coming out from Braamfontein and blocking off the highways, but they've all been reopened. The traffic, if anything, on the Mike 1 now is a lot lighter than what it normally is. So motorists have hit some alternative routes. Central Braamfontein around the bridges, that stays heavy. There's a bit of congestion around Crown and City West, but it is all easing up pretty quickly. The N1 south down to Winnie Mandela, the four-ways off-ramp, that's quite a heavy queue today. Durban, some blasting at Cliffdale, that is being completed. All lanes open there between Pietermaritzburg and Durban both ways. Spaghetti Junction, Umgina Road, absolutely jam-packed, both north and southbound routes under pressure. And Cape Town's M5 south, very slow, coming off the Kuburg Road, through the Kuburg interchange, all the way down to about Ottery Road, before you get any movement and improvement. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So let's hear your thoughts. I mean, we've had a conversation about the MK party. What's your one word, just one word, that you would use to describe your feelings about the MK party today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Today, just one word. You can WhatsApp us, as always, 0614 104 107. And you can also tweet us, right? Tweet as well as Facebook us. Tweet works really well. Just use the hashtag The National Pulse and you can tag me as well. Also, the comments I had regarding the conversation around Ahmed Kathrada, or the Kathrada Foundation, and his legacy. Kathrada's, that is, Uncle Kathy as he's called, 95th birthday. Did some fascinating things that continues even now. And then that issue about the Sambu workers. What do you make of that? On the one hand, they pursuing what they feel they aggrieved and their rights, and they go through a highway and they actually effectively cause a complete traffic jam well, no jam, just nothing can go through. As you've heard even now, the cars are gone, but there's so much rubbish that's been put onto one side of the road, you can't actually get past it. On the one side, M1 South, still closed in Johannesburg. What do you make of that? And there's more, some of the bigger issues regarding the appointment of a new Joburg speaker, who, by the way, we'll talk to next.
In August, we celebrate our amazing women farmers who nourish and clothe our nation.
Farmers and researchers and academia can work closely.
Catch Living Land on Sundays at 11 a.m. on SABC2.
Here he comes.
Hello, guys.
You're so dramatic. Hey, bro, it's not me. It's the extra styling kit. The leather seats with the red finish. It's the tow bar, all coming standard with my red Isuzu badge. Wow, now that is extra.
Why be standard when you can get the all-new Isuzu D-Max X Rider from just 8,742 Rand. Prime less 3.5%, 0% deposit, 40% balloon, and 72 months to pay. Get yours today. Finance is subject to approval. Isuzu Finance, a product of Westbank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Borussia Dortmund understands the delight that comes with triumphing the opening clash of the league race. But Eintracht Frankfurt are not about dropping points this early. They want to complete their visit to Signal Iduna Park with 3 incredible points. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch the hot contest between Borussia Dortmund and Eintracht Frankfurt on Saturday, 24 August at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
The world is rather strange, and up till yesterday, the Twitter handle Nobutle Mtembu, I did not follow it. One day, a few hours later, I follow it, and that's all because of the position of changes that has taken place in the city of Joburg. And suddenly, I'm very interested in what Nobutle Mtembu feels, does, and says, because Nobutle Mtembu is now the new city of Joburg speaker. So, welcome to the show, and this is the first time we're talking to you as the speaker of the city of Joburg.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and thank you so much for the invite, and a good afternoon to your listeners at home as well.
Thank you. As I said, you got one more Twitter follower because of your elevated position. How are you coping with the obvious added spotlight that comes with your new position?
Look, it's a bit overwhelming, but with every position that comes with power, there's a lot of responsibility. So you must just prepare and ask myself my why. What is my why? And my why has always been to serve my community and the residents of the city. So that keeps me going.
Well, I mean, your city is my city, so we're certainly going to see what you can do, right? Together with the Joburg mayor as well, understandably so. What then for you would you see your role? I mean, outside the basics in terms of the do's and don'ts, I mean, how do you see your role working out and being effective?
Look, at the current moment, we want to bring legislature to the people when we have integrated development plans. Integrated budget plan, we've noticed a lot of the residents don't partake, right? So they don't engage, they don't influence them. So I'd like to see more communities, more of the residents attending and influencing the decisions we take in council. I'll be one of those speakers that go to the ground, go to people, engage with people. And when we have Section 29 meetings, the residents must start writing to the different Section 29 committee chairpersons so they can come and address the committee members, and the chairperson of those different committees can even summon the NMC. Say, for example, you've got a problem with Johannesburg water that sits under EISC. You can communicate with the councillor that sits in that portfolio, and they can negotiate. They can speak to the committee chairperson, and then they can get invited as a resident, and then they can summon the MMC. Then you can directly ask the NMC those questions. So those are some of the processes we have in the city of Johannesburg that residents don't know anything about. So that's one of those things that I want to advocate, bringing legislature to the people.
To what degree, yourself being effectively a secondment of Action SA, to what degree, therefore, will not just your policies and how you amplify them and implement is a reflection of your party?
As Action SA, we believe that we should professionalize the public sector, and nothing has changed. Hence, when we decided, when the negotiations started, that we decided we'll take it from legislature, and being in legislature means we should hold the executive accountable. So it's kind of like a watchdog on the executive, and that's something we need to do because we have to hold the executive accountable. Public sector must be professionalized, and the municipality must start functioning. The different entities in the municipality must start functioning as well.
But I mean, when you say must be professionalized, I mean, do you have a mandate from your party? I would think the answer would be yes, but do you have a mandate from the city to do just that? What I'm trying to get at is, there's yourself, there's an executive mayor, there's a full council, there's an executive. How much power do you actually have beyond a wish list to say, we want to professionalize?
Okay, so in the Speaker's office, when councillors don't adhere to the code of conduct, right, they can come to the Speaker's office and complain about a certain councillor. Then they'll write to the Speaker's office, and then the Speaker has to look at that case and decide if she can refer that councillor to the Ethics Committee. If that councillor gets referred to the Ethics Committee and the Ethics Committee do their own investigation, with their findings, they bring it back to the Speaker's office, then the Speaker takes it to council. This is some of the processes that people have not been doing, occupying that office. If we start functioning in that manner, then number one, we show that consequent management on public representatives. Then the officials also in the different entities will also start adhering to the code of conduct. And when they start doing that, they'll see that the public representatives are not getting away with anything. They are being held accountable, which means there's consequent management. So the officials also will start adhering because they're scared of what? Consequent management. When you look at our Auditor General's report, one of the concerns or findings was that there's no consequent management in the city of Johannesburg, and that leads to the municipality not functioning. And remember, the city of Johannesburg depends on grants, loans, and revenue collection. And if we fail among the three, that affects service delivery because we won't even have money for service delivery because the departments are not functioning and because the officials also do not have consequence management. Even the public representatives who should be representing the different communities also don't do that because there's no consequence management. So we should start acting a bit like private sector, whereby put people in position who are capable, and if they don't perform, there must be consequence management because you must start respecting the residents who are the very same people who voted you in so that you can represent them in council.
Yet, I mean, all that you said, it's never easy in a majority party city. It must be so complicated when you've actually got multi-parties coming together and no party has an absolute majority. And certainly your party is far from that, to be able to execute on some of the wish lists that you talk about.
Yes, definitely. You are right. Their politics is a game of numbers, and we've got 270 councillors in the city of Johannesburg, and in Action SA, we've got 44 councillors. But let's just say we've got an issue that goes to council. And that particular item is in the report that shows maybe there was, alleged corruption charges, right? If any political party tries to conceal those findings, then the residents will know, because every time we have council, we stream council sittings. So there's an opportunity for the residents who are going to see who is there for the right reasons and who wants to clean up the public sector and who doesn't.
What for you are your biggest concerns? I mean, there's a nice wish list, but there must be real concerns you have as you get into this hot seat.
Yes, there is, and the number one concern is the status of the city. The status of the city, and when Action SA and ANC started the discussion, one important item that is very important to both political parties is the inner city rejuvenation. So inner city rejuvenation even includes the reclaiming of the hijacked buildings and turning them into low-cost housing units of student accommodation and cleaning up Johannesburg. The crime rate there is ridiculously high. So that's one concern where, when I look at it, it is a very big project, looking at the status of the city. But with the right work, it can be done. But if there's not effort put in or no political will, we'll still be stuck in the same position. And that's a concern and a worry.
Tell us about yourself. I mean, the characteristics or the skill set that you bring in to this role that will ensure that you would be effective at your job.
I came into politics or in council, my term started 2021. I initially come from private sector. I was a fund accountant. So it's my third year in local government as a politician. But I've been a caucus leader for the Johannesburg caucus for a year now, exactly a year. And when you look at what we've done since Hemen Mashaba and Fuzi Ngobeni left our caucus and left with 95% new councillors, we've driven the toilet rent surcharge as a caucus. We supported the Pick It Up workers, and we're part of the negotiations in terms of telling the workers that whatever they're doing, we understand they're unhappy, but whatever they are doing affects the residents, and trying to find a common goal or common ground between the city and the workers. We're also pushing that. When it comes also to the plan of reclaiming the hijacked buildings in the inner city and advocating for it since 2021, have been at the forefront of that.
Okay.
Right?
And to end, and I'll get to you personally in terms of your personal characteristics. What are the characteristics that you have that gets you winning at what you do?
Resilience.
Resilience.
Yes. I know it's a tough industry. I know it's a tough environment. Politics is not easy. You get it from one side, the residents who are angry with good reasons, and then on the other side, there's political parties and political differences. But you have to stand your ground and do what is right, as I said in the beginning of the interview.
All right, so we'll attach the name next to your speaker, Joburg speaker, Nabutle Mthembu, Resilient, and see how far #resilient goes, or resilience, right? Thank you for your time. Best wishes. If you get it right and if you win and the city of Joburg wins, well, you know what? Myself, I win as well. And the whole country will win because it's that important. Thanks for your time. Much appreciated. there we are. What do you think of that conversation and anything you'd like to pick out? It's complex, it's early days, and we know that, but you may want to comment based upon what you've heard in terms of that unique arrangement. Remember, the ANC said, or the Action SA party said they will not do any business with the ANC, but they are doing so, and I understand that could extend to the city of Tshwane, Pretoria as well, imminently so, with regard to the Speaker and the Mayor. Goodness, man. Politics changes at a rate faster than you can score tries that can change a rugby game and score goals that can change a football match. That's just the way it is. It is the National Pulse.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
So yesterday we spoke about him, and I can tell you now the comments from people who are linked to the show, from Jimmy Moyahe to me as well, and many others. Like it's incredible, just the impact that William Smith has made on the country. So, we often talk about the impact of the Nelson Mandelas of the world, or the Ahmed Kathradas, or the Walter Sisulus, and all these other big political heavyweights, or Bishop Tutu, and I can go on all the way down the line. And then you have a teacher who at his core is a teacher. And then you realize, as everybody has said, you know what? He was my teacher too, although he wasn't in the same classroom as me, and that shows you the impact he's made. We're talking about William Smith, remember, yesterday passing away, sadly so. So we thought, let's get the thoughts of Professor Mike Bruton, who spent time with him, clearly would know him better than I do. Appreciate your time, Prof. Bruton. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure to pay tribute to William Smith.
Well, I would say it's a pleasure and a great responsibility as well, right? How do you go about doing that, even just talking up someone who doesn't even need talking up?
Yeah. I wrote a biography of his parents, Shelby and Margaret Smith, and that included a chapter on William, which I subtitled Larger Than Life. And that's what he really was, not only in his physical stature, but in his incredible contributions to education, not only in South Africa, but elsewhere in Africa and worldwide. And he deservedly received the Order of the Baobab, the Honorary Doctorate from Rhodes, and many other awards.
How? I mean, besides awards, awards are one thing. You would have a closer understanding of what the impact he's truly made. And for many people, it's not at an academic level, but it's literally watching him on television and getting him to teach us live, well ahead of what we call online learning.
Yes. Yeah, he did that thing that teachers uniquely do, and that is help people reach their full potential. And at a time when the standard of maths and science teaching was rather poor, he elevated it and also used public media to reach hundreds of thousands and eventually millions of people. And it's, I think there are untold numbers of people who can ascribe their success in life to that solid grounding that William Smith gave them.
What would you say? What's his magic? And I don't mean academic magic, because you can be qualified academically but still lack the magic to connect with people. What for you is the magic of William Smith?
I think he was a very driven personality, and this was partly as a result of his father's influence. Shelby Smith was a very driven person, and they always competed with one another and often bumped heads. And I remember Margaret, his mother, saying, if William and JLB hadn't had an argument for 3 hours, she would take William's temperature because there's something wrong. But he was driven, and he was driven by ambition. He wanted to be even more successful than his father, but in a different field. But he was also driven by a solid community spirit, that he saw that young people weren't getting the kind of grounding in science they needed, and he had a gift to demystify science and make it accessible. And then, that was then amplified through radio and television programs and printed programs and live lectures. And he set a standard that I don't think has been achieved since then.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if you like and you admire people, you give them an award, you give them a trophy, and then maybe follow what they do and you emulate them. But the true admiration would be to replicate what he does. And am I right in saying that is absent? That means he's not here and hasn't been because he's been retired for a while, right? But we've not come close to replacing him in the same way that clearly you wouldn't take more than a day to replace a rugby coach.
Yes, and that's an important point because science and the importance of science needs amplification now, because the internet and social media have provided a megaphone whereby a disproportionate amount of attention is given to radical groups, including pseudoscience and anti-science groups. So science and its value to society is under attack. And, we need to use every means of our disposal to counter that. And, I really think that William's legacy is that we should continue that momentum and build it up again, find more William Smiths who can do this through the public media and up the level of science communication in South Africa and Africa.
And maybe that's a good way to end. I mean, we've had the 67 minutes for Nelson Mandela. What would be that equivalent for William Smith to ensure that what we praise him about now, we actually emulate, copy, implement?
There are young people out there who are great communicators, who have the gift of language. They understand the subject. A lot of them have been nurtured through, for instance, the National Science Festival in Makhanda, Grahamstown. We just need to find them and give them a voice on the public media. It's just so important that we do that.
Okay, let's leave it at that and maybe let us all get working. Prof. Mike Bruton, appreciate your time at a time which, it's a strange one. On the one hand, there's great sadness reflecting on the passing of Dr. William Smith, but on the other hand, there's honour in reflecting on the magic of his career and just what a leader and a champion in this space that he's absolutely been. So winning and ensuring other people win all at the same time. So thank you for your time. Much appreciated. Let's get to some of the other comments we've had. And here's an interesting one around the MK military veterans.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Ashraf, I'm a bit confused because one of the appointees of Umkondo Sizwe is responsible for the military veterans. Do they have a military wing, or did they have a military wing? Which Umkondo Sizwe is this? In court they are saying it's not the original Mukondo, it's another Mukondo. Yet again outside they are saying it's the original Mukondo with a military wing. Which military wing? That is I'm confused, Ashraf. I don't understand. Lisa from Brixton.
Well, don't confuse us even further. I mean, the ANC themselves are confused about it, and so are maybe the courts as well. I mean, which military wing, which MK are we talking about? Please don't confuse us. You know what? We don't really know. Is there a formation of an actual veterans? Really, they've just started getting together. So let's see how that plays out, right? Here's another on the issue of Floyd Shivambu.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I'm Speedo from Guatemala. I can foresee people like Floyd Shivambu being in and out of court come 2029 elections, as the Hawks and NPA will be busy at work with the state capital report as well as VBS bank scandal. There are so many other characters there that are questionable in this Mkhonto weSizwe party. I think that will be their demise. Thank you.
Okay, you mean too busy to do the real work? We'll see what happens around that. Okay, keep the calls coming, keep the WhatsApps moving, keep the tweets as well, and the comments on Facebook. Really appreciate it. And those that are brave enough to take a picture of themselves, wherever you may be in the country, in the world, with your picture and your family maybe, and maybe at work, maybe at home, of you listening to SAFM. If you do that, like a great thumbs up to you. It is the national pulse, so thumbs on the pulses, isn't it? Not so much just fingers, thumbs. 4:30, here's Madubi.
Thanks, Ashraf. Good afternoon. In your headlines, 2 suspects have been arrested following the discovery of a drug lab worth 80 million rand in Douglasdale, Joburg this afternoon. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says the government must move with speed in implementing the Health Compact, and the Northern Cape Education Department is appealing to parents in Delpoortsdorp to monitor their children closely and to keep them at home or in isolation to curb the spread of measles. Those are your headlines. A full news update at 5.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. The Mike 1 and Mike 2 routes through Joburg. If you're just joining us, the roads, highways have been reopened. They were closed for a little while this afternoon as SAMU members came out of the Braamfontein area and just blocked those highways off. Extensive closures and extensive delays, but I'm happy to report in the Mike 1 is actually free-flowing and flowing a lot better than it normally would do. Motorists obviously spooked into hearing that news and hitting some alternative routes. The M2 moving nicely as well. A lot of traffic on the N3 today. Beclude out to Germiston. The Mike 1 North is heavy from Melrose all the way through towards Woodmead Drive. Even leaving Pretoria, crash at Nelmapius Drive, 2 lanes closed, quite heavy traffic on your way towards the airport into that scene. Big crash just going into Ashburton on the N3, so truck involved. It looks like all lanes are currently obstructed. It's in the roadworks as well, so really big queues from Linfield Park. If you're on your way to Pietermaritzburg, might want to just travel a little bit later. Protesting again in Cape Town and Retreat area, Prince George Drive at Military Road. We saw that this morning, seeing again today. And a vehicle burning on the N2 outbound at Jan Smuts Drive, holding traffic up, coming through from town through Hospital Bend out towards that Pinelands area. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
We've got Tumi in an Orlando Pirates top, and she's talking rugby. So basically, I expect a Springbok top in the next hour.
Well, I'm not on that international level as yet, but I am talking all things Currie Cup, and veteran centre Francois Venter will start for the Sharks against the coastal rivals Western Province in the competition at Cape Town on Saturday. WP are in 6th place on the standings, with the Sharks heading to the Mother City 2 positions higher in 4th. 3 wins and a draw from the last 4 outings has helped the Durbanites go up the log, and head coach JP Peterson has made 5 changes to last week's side, which clinched late victory over the Cheetahs at Free State Stadium. Meanwhile, in football, Cape Town City Chairman John Comitis has revealed the club faces serious challenges regarding where to host their fixtures for the 2024-25 season. This comes after severe weather conditions in the Mother City, forcing the temporary closure of the already limited stadiums, and led to their counterparts Stellenbosch FC going to Durban for matches meant to be played at Danny Craven.
If it was not for the fact that we own a state-of-the-art synthetic surface, we would really not be training half as much as we have been. We've managed to get through because of that, and it served us well. So the rest of the facilities are really struggling, and the worst is that our stadium facility pitches are also struggling because, there's been so much rugby on both Athlone Stadium and the Cape Town Stadium, and that pitch, as much as they've spent a lot of money on it, is not holding out the way it's supposed to, and perhaps we jumped on it too quickly in too many games. So they're trying to get that in order, and Athlone's being shut down now until 1st of October. For the same reason, the under-20 rugby played on it, and in these difficult weather conditions, and really set it back. So it's quite a challenge for us now as football to find a proper pitch to play in, and to play the kind of football we like to play.
Meanwhile, the University of Western Cape head coach Tinasonke Mbuli has admitted that their clash against Eswatini's Young Buffaloes is their biggest game ever. The two sides meet in the semi-finals of the CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers this afternoon in Malawi, with a spot in the final at stake. Now, the students are in the debut tournament, and which has been frequented by reigning continental champions Mamelodi Sundowns ladies, while their opponents return for the 3rd time since 2022. Elsewhere, Brighton manager Fabian Hurzeler expects Georgiano Rutter to be a big player for the Seagulls, as he considers handing his club record signing a debut against Manchester United on Saturday. Now, Rutter joined the Premier League side from English second-tier club Leeds on Monday for a reported £40 million, around 943 million rand fee, and Hosela is confident that the 22-year-old who arrived in English football from Germany's Hoffenheim in January 2023 will fit in quickly on the south coast after already playing for Leeds this season. In cricket, Pakistan declared their first innings on 448 for 6 today after Mohammad Rizwan and Saud Shakil hit brilliant hundreds on the second day of the opening test against Bangladesh. Rizwan scored a career best of 171 not out with 3 sixes and 11 boundaries, while Shakil made 141 after Pakistan resumed the day on 158 for 4. Rizwan and Shakil added 240 runs for the 5th wicket, which helped Pakistan recover from a faltering start, losing 3 wickets for 16 runs yesterday. And Shaheen Shah Afridi cracked 2 sixes and a boundary in a quick-fire 29 not out. In athletics, Great Britain's Matthew Hudson-Smith will be seeking revenge against Quincy Hall as they renew their rivalry in the Diamond League. Hall pipped Hudson-Smith to gold in the men's 400 meter at the Paris Olympics by 400 seconds of a second. And then in the men's 200 meter, Botswana's Litsile Tebogo will be looking to take his sensational Paris form with him to Switzerland as he takes on American pair Ariane and Fred Curley again. Finally, in tennis, Novak Djokovic, fired up by his emotional Olympic Games win, targets new Grand Slam records at the US Open from Monday as title rival Jannik Sinner arrives in New York, dodged by questions over 2 positive drug tests. Now, defending champion Djokovic can become the oldest Open-era champion at the tournament if he secures a 5th title, a record that he would share with Jimmy Connors, P.T. Sampras and Roger Federer. Now, the 37-year-old would also move to 25 Grand Slam tries, taking him clear of 24 he currently shares with Margaret Court. However, I think that is definitely going to be difficult with the likes of Jannik Sinner and Alcaraz also there, so it'll be interesting to see how
I need to get switched on again to watching tennis rather, because I watched French Open, then Wimbledon, and I watched a bit of the Olympic Games, the final, and then nothing, so need to get switched on. Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see how he's going to do. But with that said, I'll be back with more sports.
Wait, before you go, I want to ask you something. So this is something, let me find these notes. I made some notes here. So I'm talking about YouTube podcasts, okay? So just to give you a perspective here. So Ashraf Garda in South Africa is 100,000 subscribers. I've got 100 subscribers because I haven't really used my YouTube channel. I've got a YouTube channel, but I haven't really used it properly. So let's say I've got 100 subscribers. 100. Okay. Haven't really started. MacG, 1.3 million, right? In South Africa. Okay. Then you got Joe Rogan, who's amongst the biggest in the world, has got 17 million subscribers on YouTube or his podcast. Then you've got a person by the name of Cristiano Ronaldo who just started it today. It's not yet 24 hours, sitting on 15 million.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
And he hasn't opened his mouth as yet. 15 million. Can you imagine when he opens his mouth?
Yeah.
He'd probably end up at 30 million or 40 million. I'm not joking. His strike rate is faster than he can score goals. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah.
He's that big. Funny enough, I was looking at something and just looking at the Saudi Arabia League. And when he went to the league, there were already posts out there for people that want to be the Cristiano Ronaldo sports journalist.
Oh, really? Just
that
follow
is
him.
The title of his of the job.
Maybe they're going to be on his YouTube channel. Let's see what happens. More sports and more YouTube talk in an hour's time.
From 1936 to the future, from Ekaya, Ekas, to Jozi and Furkan to the world, from dance and poetry to stages filled with our hopes and dreams, from SABC radio stations to cross-border triumphs, from drama, comedy and heart-pounding sport to raise our flag, from culture and spirit to the streets where talent is grown, from generation to generations and the shows that kept us entertained. So, what are you waiting for? Kumbule Kaya. SABC has always been home to our joy, stories and Msanti's magic. Come home to SABC Plus, still home to the best of who we are.
Welcome to the team, Andile.
Thank you.
What will be your first order of business?
Well, ensuring our greatest assets are taken care of.
Our vehicle fleet?
No,
our employees. You see, I want them to feel confident in our company's employee benefits, and Old Mutual Corporate is perfect for that. They take care of everything, from retirement benefits to health and group risk solutions, consulting, and more. Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Get your payments done with the utmost security and convenience when you purchase a TV license now. With our new secure payment systems with a one-time PIN, OTP feature, and the choice of receiving your OTP via SMS or email, you can ensure prompt and secure payments. The additional use of capture will protect you against spam and automated data attractions. With TV licenses, you can enjoy watching all your favorite shows or movies that matter to you. Get yours today. Visit www.tvlic.co.za.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, so let's get to the markets with Paswani Mpatlele, Senior Account Manager at Makwe Fund Managers. Good chatting to you as always. So there's big news besides local and global markets. You've got news on Adcock Ingram, right? And more.
Yeah, Ashraf, afternoon and to all your listeners. This is the pharmaceutical player. The manufacturer demonstrated in their year-end financials under June that they show that their business model remains resilient as they risk manage the tough economic conditions. They recorded consistent growth with their revenue up 6%, driven by volume price increases in their product portfolio, helping to sustain that growth and as they were in demand, and this helped increase their profitability. Their margins remain stable and their profits as per headline earnings per share up 7% as they continue to deliver shareholder value in addition to the dividend increase of 5% and the share buybacks they've announced, and combined with the general cash the cash flow that they continue to be strong. The investment case remains well supported. The stock was as high as 9% today, and just when we bring it back to just the global scene there, we're looking at global claims that came in the US that were rather very positive and help global markets to keep some optimism, further supported by global business activities that were in expansion above 50, whether you look into the likes of the US or the Europe, and they supported the demand thanks to supporting demand in the service sector. However, it was not fairly balanced because when you look into the manufacturing sector, you still see them recording negative gains for the second month in a row as at the back of weaker output, whether you look at the US and Germany in the likes of Europe, and this has put pressure on commodities in general. Copper down 0.6, gas, silver, soybeans, wheat down over 1%, and this generally has increased the risk of volatility, especially when you add on to the fact that Jackson Hole is taking place today and the Powell is speaking tomorrow. That has increased the dollar. Equities therefore have kept their gains, and we see the US markets open flat. Europe tried to hold some gains with the DAX only leading the gains up 0.3. Locally, we see after hitting all-time highs during the day, we're down 0.3, with industrials up 0.9. Resource sector had brought us down 2%, financials down 1%, and in the commodity space, we see gold was down 1% with that yield and dollar ticking up. At gold is at $2,485 an ounce. Platinum was down 1.3 at $954. Oil rebounds from its weakness by 1% at $76.85 a barrel. Looking at the rand with the dollar rise, we see it weaker against major currencies. The rand against the dollar is around 18.01. Rand against the euro is around 20.02. Rand against the pound is at 23 rand and 59 cents.
Okay, that's it. Thanks for your time. We'll chat again tomorrow, Paswani. But another update from the markets coming up in just under an hour, so listen out for that. Okay, let's get to some of your thoughts on a range of issues, including William Smith, right at Wayisa, on the line from KZN. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and
Good talking to you. Thank you. Right, go ahead. What's your point?
Hey, you requested one word to explain what happened today.
Yeah.
To stick on your instruction, one word is opportunistic.
Opportunistic. Okay, you can now explain. You can explain the one word in one sentence. How's that? So you got the opportunistic why?
You know, Ashraf, if we were to believe the former President Zuma saying that the MK trademark was not registered, and then as an insider who knew everything, so he took advantage of that, and that is being opportunist at its best. It can't be better than that or worse than that.
Well, you're right. I mean, opportunistic, strategic. I mean, clearly opportunistic, and realize seeing seeing a gap in the market and saying, hold it, these guys will think they're sleeping, so let me jump in, right? Yeah.
Hey, but Ashraf, I can tell you one thing. You know what Zuma has done? It's painful. It is unforgivable to the ANC. You know, this name MK has profound and rich history. You know, I'll give you a very quick example. You know, during at ANC members' burial, you know, there's this moment when the coffin is lowered down, and only ANC members can sing that song. You know, that's so profound, and at that moment, you can't help but say it here.
Okay.
It's a final say goodbye.
Zuma may say,
for you to take that away, it can't be strategic.
Zuma may tell you, Dwaisa, you know what? Guess who was the previous president of the ANC? Not you, me. I was. So that you get what I'm trying to say. It's rather complicated. Thank you.
Ashraf, I understand that things very much, but it's unforgivable. That's
got that. Unforgivable. There was Chad Leclerc's father. Did he say unforgettable? Something like that. When Chad Leclerc won the Olympic gold medal all those years ago, beating Michael Phelps, he said unforgettable. Yes, unforgivable. Yes, I've asked you just to send some pictures of where you are. So. And I'd really love it when you do that. So here's one. I can see the picture, but you haven't told me where you are. You haven't given me your name. Please do that. I see this picture of you with your red bag, whether it's like a laptop, but I need a name so I can do that. Here's another. People are saying, Ashraf, Ronaldo now has 21 million YouTube subscribers and counting. One of the videos he posted already has 15 million views. Crazy number. Thanks for that, Sydney. Well, there you are. Probably can he get to 25 by the time we end this show? If you update me, Sydney, I'll put you in charge, okay? You're the national organizer regarding Cristiano Ronaldo's YouTube account. Here's another from Akarisin from the Pretoria CBD, listening to National Pulse. Got you. I see your t-shirt says blue, if I've got that right. It's a white t-shirt, really fancy one, cute one. Thank you for doing that. Do more. I'd love to see that here. Okay, let's get to some of the WhatsApp comments as well, and here's one in general.
Hi Ashraf, it's Anonymous from Durban. I just want to say everybody is corrupt, all of them, from ANC to MK, EFF, all these parties are corrupt.
So who's not corrupt? That's what I want to know. And then why do we praise them if they all are corrupt? June in Witbank. Hi June.
Hi, Ashraf, how are you?
I'm very good indeed. Go ahead, what's your point?
My point is, I just want to congratulate the new speaker for Johannesburg. She must be prepared to face the fire from all different political oppositions. So she must be prepared, and I had your interview with her, but she must be prepared. She can beat this position in that position as soon as any party is not hit with her. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think you're right. You know, it's early days now, so we'll see what happens when the real issues come up, right? Can she deal with the fire that inevitably will emerge from the position being the Speaker of the City of Joburg? Here's a comment on William Smith.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf. It's the tracker here in Western Cape. Mr. Ashraf, I remember my school days, one of our teachers telling us that you boys, you should stop watching Days of Our Lives. Those things are not real. Those are fantasies. You must watch William Smith. After school, you watch television, you watch William Smith. You will get something out of it. You will pass your maths. Wow, what a legend. It was even before the time of TikTok, Mr. Ashraf.
What you haven't told me is, did you take his advice? Did you watch William Smith and become this professor of mathematics? Or did you choose not to, and you watched whatever the equivalent of, well, Days of Our Lives, as you've said, and now it's TikTok of our lives, something along that line. Okay, maybe time for one more around the MK.
Just in terms of that MK party comment, you mentioned that they did it with no ground structures, which is only a partial truth in my view, because they very aggressively used the ground structures of the ANC, and so they had ground structures, they just weren't their own. They captured them, as is consistent with the personalities there. John, in KZN.
Thanks, John. I think you're right, and maybe I'm right as well, because if you're saying they did, I said they didn't have much, and you said they did, they had ANC ones, then you're also agreeing with me that they didn't have their own, they had the ANC ones. So we're both right. The world is confusing, we know that, right? Let's talk about a media award after this.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day, where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday,
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, let's, one of the things we've said we'll do is create a regular media marketing feature on the show. We'll do like once a week around 10 to 5. So today, let's talk about the SEDEC Media Awards for Excellence in Photojournalism and Radio. So 2 South African journalists have won awards in this year's SEDEC Media Awards. One of them is Chimoloko Benjamin Mochatama, who's from Channel Africa Radio. Channel Africa, part of the SABC, and is the winner of the second prize winner, that's in the radio category, with his entry on the importance of shared water resources in the SADC region. That is so important. Let's find out more about it. So Benjamin, you're a winner. Welcome to the National Pulse.
Hey Ashraf, thank you to you, and hi to your SAFM listeners.
Absolutely, love talking to winners, because winners have this habit of inspiring all of us to say, I need to do something as well, man. Come on. So well done, A. Firstly, tell me what did you have to do? I mean, you submitted an entry. You I understand it's about shared water, but tell me more.
Yeah, well, it was really an entry that was very important to us as Channel Africa Radio, because what we do is we speak a lot about multiple themes on the African continent. And as you know, Ashraf, that we usually have a very monolithic view of Africa. Africa is ravaged with wars. Africa is only about the poor. But, Africa is more diverse than that. There's multiple narratives to tell. So my entry was really about water resources on the African continent and how they are really shared, most of them. You know how water resources are very rare in South Africa, and we don't only rely in South Africa for water. So we were looking at that from a regional perspective, and what kind of regional cooperation is needed for us to facilitate the process of sharing water resources in Africa.
Okay, and in terms of the award, I mean, were you surprised that you won an award? I mean, I don't know, it's a strange one. Do you, when you enter, you hope you get acknowledged, and very often the majority don't get acknowledged. So you get acknowledged. How did you respond?
Hey man, I'm very optimistic usually. Ashraf, I know that in the media, whenever you hand in a competition, you have to put your best foot forward. So definitely I did believe in this particular piece of content, and I knew that it was a positive story to tell, but was also speaking about complexity on an African issue that is hardly spoken about. So I thought it was of interest.
Okay, what about, tell me more about the submission in terms of why you not just submitted that topic, but why you actually chose to follow that story in the first place, you or Channel Africa, to say, we need to pursue the story, and then the impact that the story has had when it's been delivered. That means the impact it's had on that community.
I think it's a regional story, so I think it has an impact on many communities indirectly, whether we know it or not. And that's why I was starting my conversation with you with a preface that we always have monolithic stories about Africa, mainly being political in their nature, and most of the time when we speak about Africa, it's only one-dimensional with that headline story. But these stories are there, and they have to be unearthed. And being part of Channel Africa, we always tell these different kind of stories that are a reality in our communities, and they're actually there and they exist, and we just don't tell them as media.
In terms of your work, I mean, maybe just to go a step back in terms of how did you get into the media journalism space?
Oh yeah, I've been in journalism for a while, and maybe 15 years now doing radio. I've worked on multiple platforms. Actually, last year we had a wonderful nod with my show on Channel Africa. We won the Telkom Radio Award for Best Internet Radio Show. So it's not the first time to get an award such as this one. So this just cements the hard work that we put in and put all the time into this particular work. I even worked there at SAFM. I was a stand-in presenter for even the likes of Mr. President. So I've been doing this just silently, quietly, just getting along with the job. That's what we do most of the time.
Well, there you are. And now you're a reflection of the national pulse, and you get all our pulses racing because you've done so well. So, we think that's pretty exciting as well, indeed. What for you is like your unfinished business? What happens next for you?
I think, in media, we just have to grind. What we do every day is impact communities. What we do every day, we've got opportunity to speak to people in different sectors, in different environments. So it's really an opportunity that we have as media practitioners. Just to continue doing the work with integrity, doing the work with a sense of responsibility, but also keeping the professionalism. So that's what I'm all about, just getting the work done, grinding, and getting it done, and putting the content up.
And finally, when you entered the media or journalism space, I mean, why did you choose to do that? I mean, like, what's your story about that?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't get that.
I said when you chose to enter, the media journalism industry as a media worker, right? What sparked that off? What was that moment that said, I need to give this a shot?
Hey, Ashraf, you're one of those guys. Definitely. I used to listen to you back in the day. I still think you're one of the best. So there's many practitioners that we have here in South Africa that have inspired me, definitely. And radio has always been a medium that I've actually loved from back in the day. So, it's actually a full circle moment right now to be speaking to one person that I respect as a media practitioner. So, man, I can add you in that note today. Man, I'm speaking to one of the legends right now on radio.
Well, you're very, very kind. I'm blushing right now. I could say, let's share the spoils of the win, but I think you need to do the right thing and say, hey, that one is for you. That's for me. That's not for myself. So keep it to yourself, Benjamin. It's what you've done, and all we can gloat about the fact is if I inspired one person to be as good, if not better than I am, well, maybe that's the essence of what we need to be doing in our country, a sense of purpose to uplift South Africa and to uplift humanity in ways that we don't even know how. And so if I've done that, then I humbly say thank you, and I'm glad that you become even better, and may you get even better at all that you do and you impact other people too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashraf. It's such a pleasure to speak to you, and I appreciate you giving me this time to have a conversation about this wonderful SADC Media Award.
Perfect. That's such a lovely story, and love to talk to winners every single day on the show. We must do that. Any more winners, let us know. We should talk to. That's Chimoloko Benjamin Mochatama, who's the winner, the SADC winner, as well as Channel Africa radio presenter. By the way, let me see if I can pick out another good. There's just so many comments about Zuma, understandably so. Here's another.
Ashraf, good afternoon. There's one thing that you must remember. The moment Jacob Zuma go, you must know there's a lie somewhere there. I'm just saying.
You're just saying. Here's another one I'm going to just say, okay? Because I had a chat with Keys about it before we got on air. Have you done this when you heard about William Smith passing away? Did you at some stage also call him Will Smith? And Will Smith is this famous actor. William Smith is this famous TV presenter, teacher, right? As we know now. The point I want to make is, has that happened to you where you've got two people with the same name in two completely different industries, but both very, very prominent, to the point where you actually can confuse the two and you sometimes don't know which one you are talking about? Has that happened to you ever? I want to know. And maybe it's also you. Maybe you have a name and you're relatively unknown, but you have the name of someone who's so well known that it's so obvious when people see you, they're going to ask you about him or her. If that's the case, I want to hear about it. Just a text or a voice note is great, or post it on our Twitter X feed, 0614 104 107. Let's get the news now. It's 5 o'clock. Here's Greg.
Thank you, Ashraf. A major drug bust in Johannesburg and highways opened after SAMU protest. Good day to you. 2 suspects have been arrested following the discovery of a drug lab worth 80 million rand in Douglasdale in Johannesburg. An estimated 10 million rands worth of Mandrax tablets and 70 million rands worth of manufacturing equipment have been seized during the raid. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tommy Mtombeni says the suspects are foreign nationals.
We are working closely. We have now to link up with the state forfeiture and the link also with the NPA so that we can be in a position to can deal with these issues precisely. So I think as I try to do the crime scene in the regalia for the crime scene, I try just to try and engage with one of the person. You can clearly hear that this particular individual is not a South African.
The M2 and M1 North highways in Johannesburg have now been reopened to traffic. This after thousands of City of Johannesburg employees affiliated to Municipal Workers Union SAMU blocked the M1 in both directions in Braamfontein and in both directions on the M2 in Selby. It's understood the members are aggrieved over wage disputes. Joburg Metro Police spokesperson Tulan Fikla says the M1 South remains closed due to rubble in the road.
Protesting City of Johannesburg employees affiliated to the South African Municipal Workers Union have dispersed following an earlier closure of the M1 and M2 highways in Braamfontein and in the Johannesburg CBD, and reports indicate that an agreement was reached for them to disperse, though they have indicated that they will return tomorrow. Traffic remains heavy in the area and motorists are urged to avoid the M1 South and use alternative routes while officials work to clear the debris from the highway.
The MK Party's Secretary General Sifiso Maseko has made assurances that the leadership of the party announced today is permanent, bringing stability to the fledgling party. The party says it's assembling its structures but will not be holding an elective conference anytime soon, as it's wary of the divisiveness of such conferences. The party is currently facing a court challenge by 10 of its former MPs for removing them from their positions in Parliament. Maseko elaborates.
We commit that the leadership collective we are announcing today is the leadership of MKP, and there will not be constant changes because we took our time to consult and finalize the collective. We have full confidence in the names of all the people we have identified, including those who are still going to join our liberation movement. We will, however, not tolerate laziness and divisive leaders whose only and primary purpose is to sow divisions in our ranks.
The Health Minister, Aaron Motsoaledi, says government must move with speed in implementing the Health Compact. The Compact has been described as a framework of cooperation between key sectors that influence good health outcomes. The Minister was speaking at the signing of the second Presidential Health Compact in Pretoria today.
The Department of Education is engaging the Department of Health to contain the outbreak of measles in Delporshoop, as it may affect other schools in town. The department has closed the Delporshoop Combined School, the Delporshoop Intermediate School, Francis Moapanele Primary School, and the Digatlong High School with immediate effect.
That is the spokesperson for the Department of Education in the Northern Cape. The department is appealing to parents in Delpoortshoop to monitor their children closely and keep them at home or in isolation to curb the spread of measles. This follows a measles outbreak at a school in Delpoortshoop with more than 130 learners in the area infected. Pro-Palestinian activists have gathered in Cape Town to protest against the alleged export of coal to Israel. Representatives from Jews for a Free Palestine and other groupings are calling on mining company Glencore to stop trade with Israel. Spokesperson for the Cape Town energy embargo is Abida Adams.
Africa, and particularly South African-owned companies and entities, to stop aiding and abetting the genocide by these kinds of acts. Because when they are exporting coal to Israel, there's no distinction to say what energy does it power. So it powers armaments companies, it provides power and energy to the illegal settlements within the occupied territories.
Top story. 2 suspects have been arrested following the discovery of a drug lab worth 80 million rand in Douglasdale in Johannesburg. I'll be back with headlines on the half hour. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Goes.
In sports this hour, Jose Rivero sets plan for must-win CAF Champions League clash, and Basketball South Africa bungles hosting of African Championships. More details at 5:30.
Catch me, Bonang Mateba, on a fresh reality series that showcases the business behind being a business. Get to experience an intimate look at my life with family, personal growth, and my mission to uplift young women. Jet with me as we prepare to crown a lucky chaser. Be grounded, be entertained, and be dazzled. Monday, 6 p.m. on S3, it's a date with you and B. Catch Bedazzled by Bonang on S3 every Monday at 6 p.m.
Reigning champions of the Citizens fully get it that early wins in the league serves you right when pressure kicks in.
On it goes to Foden, 2-0! The master marksman, Phil Foden, you absolute beauty!
However, the Tractor Boys believe they have what it takes to prevail in the Big Boys League.
Burns again, another opportunity, it burns!
This is the Premier League.
Catch the exciting battle between Manchester City FC and Ipswich Town FC on Saturday 24 August at 3 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC+. Also available on sabcsport.com.
Hashtag we love it here.
Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Here's a story that's just developing coming out of Pretoria. It looks like Eski and Pathlali going north is closed from Marabastad. So everybody's sort of backlogging into that closure and then having to sort of work out towards the Dusport Tunnel area on Transaranya and Bremer. So very heavy if you're trying to get north from Pretoria this afternoon. Might want to beat all that and just scoot up Paul Kruger Mansfield and then sort of cut back from there. Eski and Pathlali appears to be closed between sort of Marabastad and Van der Hof. We'll keep an eye on that and get to the bottom of it as quickly as we can. With some very heavy traffic through Dusport Tunnel as a result of it. Durban, a crash on the M4, the Ruthurst Highway, quite a nasty one. 3 cars, a taxi and an expensive-looking Porsche involved in that between Blue Lagoon and Suncoast. So very heavy backlogs both ways. A major delay alert if you're driving up to Pietermaritzburg. A truck crash blocking the highway before Ashburton. Traffic queuing back through Linfield Park and back towards Amlas Road and getting back towards Camperdown. So that's really heavy. And then Cape Town, same as we saw this morning, some protestings erupted on the M5, Prince George Drive and Military Road in the Retreat area. That's causing all sorts of congestion through Garcia Park, through Retreat and out through the Steenberg area. Some very heavy traffic in that part of Cape Town today. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
You know, one of the great things about listening to radio and then hosting a radio show, and we're both connected in that sense that you know what I'm doing, you can hear me, you can connect, and often you engage with me live on the air. But I don't quite know where you are right now. And you may tell me which city you're in, but unless you send pictures, and some people do that, which is great if you do. And if you're keen on that, WhatsApp us with your picture, 0614 104 107, or you can also tweet it out. Just tag SAFM Radio and myself, hashtag the National Pulse. But I don't really know what you're doing. I mean, you could be at the beach in Cape Town, you could be driving in the Karoo, you could be just coming out of that crazy traffic jam in the city of Joburg, you could be rushing from some part of Durban or Tegwini to another part, you could be sitting in Pretoria wondering what's going to happen to you next tomorrow in terms of your business deals, or maybe you're rushing to the taxi rank, whatever it is. I don't know what you're doing. And it's maybe one of the great mysteries of how we then, in spite of all that, engage with each other as if we like chommies for life. It is really the power of radio, and maybe it reflects one of the great privileges then in doing that, to amplify what we call the National Pulse. Keep it going about that question I asked you about William Smith and Will Smith. Other examples you have of people with effectively the same name or a similar name, and you sometimes get confused which one it is, or it could actually even be you yourself, where you get confused. Or people confuse you with somebody else because you've got this name, but you're not that well known, but somebody else has this name that is just so much more famous than you, and like they think you're the same person. Has that happened to you. Let's talk about names. Well, names, MK Party, Mkhonto Wesizwe is exactly that, isn't it? Confusion about who owns what. Either way, the MK Party exists. We know that. They've contested the election and did very, very well indeed. And now they've put together this top 8, this national command, as they talk about, and a lot of attention in terms of this national convener, which is Floyd Shivambu, national organizer. In fact, I mean, that's his title. So he, having been, he was part of the media briefing today, and is there, so he's very much part of it, dressed in MK Party regalia, not red, but very much blood green now, strangely enough, right? Well, he spoke about many things. One of the things he spoke about is this new party's ability to be able to attract what may be described by other people as the brains trust of South Africa, to a degree. This is what he said.
So to assemble the best of the best amongst black people to govern society is a best decision. And to associate with that is a best and sound decision. People who can govern, like it's as simple as that. Like, if you say that who amongst ourselves is the best, and then you say, let's assemble those who can demonstrate that they have got capacity to run otherwise very complex and huge institutions, who are not going to collaborate with the establishment and switch on electricity on and off and say it's load shedding because there's a crisis of this and that. People who are genuine and real and have never done anything wrong, and of course will be criminalized for one reason or another. I agree that we should unite all the progressive forces into common agenda, because this thing of small unviable political parties is not sustainable for the future of black people in South Africa. It's not sustainable at all. We can't, and the temptation as well, and I'm not characterizing the EFF, is that when you have got multiple of these, like they end up being fiefdoms of individuals. IFP, UDM kind of arrangement, what is it to achieve with that? When all of us can set aside our very strong egos and say, I don't have to be a member of parliament, I don't have to be a deputy president. I can come and be led by a collective, like, and be subjected to a collective and be asked to go and organize branches of MKP from scratch and not be a member at the high levels. That is the principle that we're dealing with, and that is what we're here for.
Well, there you are. What do you make of that statement by Floyd Shivambu? One, subjecting himself to the collective and willing to start at any level, which may have surprised many people, including myself, where we said, hold it, he's got to move to somewhere senior. So he's not the president, but he still is very, very senior, and he has a huge position. The other point that he made, I think, is worth repeating, where he said, I'm not talking about the EFF, and then mentioned other parties, small parties, and he spoke about as if they are fiefdoms of individuals. Now, what does he mean by that? I think we know what he means. What are the implications of that statement? Because naturally, you may talk about the other smaller parties, but there's no way you and I will not then circle back to, is he talking about the EFF? Fiefdom of individuals. Let me hear your thoughts on this. We'll talk about a significant signing today, the Presidential Health Compact being signed into law. BUSA, Business Unity SA, they oppose it. We'll talk about that next.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
There's not a day in the last few days that we haven't had some bill or the other being signed into law. We're all struggling to keep pace with it, but maybe that's exactly why we have this show. Fingers on the pulse, absolutely. So the acting president, Paul Mashatile, has signed. Well, hold it. Before I tell you this, you need to listen to this earlier on. In terms of the conversation I had, in Lamulo Indlela, the MK Party spokesperson, he comes up as my guest at 10 to 6. So do not miss that. Okay, so the acting president, Paul Mashatile, has signed the second Presidential Health Compact into law. Now, the compact is aimed at achieving universal health coverage, something we've spoken about often, but some organizations and activist groups as well, such as the South African Medical Association, but in this case significantly Business Unity South Africa. They, we understand, have refused to sign the compact due to their opposition to the National Health Insurance Act. So let's find out what exactly is the position of Business Unity SA and why. With me, Cas Kubadia, CEO of Business Unity South Africa. Cas, good chatting to you. You're live on the National Pulse.
Thanks, Ashraf. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So what then is the position of Business Unity?
Well, our position is that firstly, we are fully supportive of a health compact between government and other stakeholders. We signed the first health compact, and we were more than happy to sign this one, except that there were discussions in April this year on what the content of this health compact would be. We made some recommendations. We were absolutely clear that the NHI Act, which we expressed dissatisfaction was not the NHI, but with the Act in its current form. We have no problems with an NHI, but the Act in its current form. And we then get about 2 days before the signing that was postponed, we get a health compact that puts the National Health Insurance Act at the center of the compact. We indicated to the presidency that we are unable to sign this. They said, well, that's fine, there are others that will sign it. We wrote to the presidency. We publicly said we won't sign it because we had problems with the NHI Act being at the center of this. That was never the intention of the health compact. We believe that the health compact and the NHI and the discussion around NHI should be separated. If they were separated, we'd be signing the health compact today. But they weren't. And even after it was postponed, we wrote to the presidency and said, look, will we be able to engage on this now before it's signed? Can we meet each other? And there was no approach from the presidency to engage with us. So our position stood, and we didn't attend, unfortunately, and we just could not sign this compact.
What do you think there was no approach from the president or the presidency to engage with you? Why? Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think that, if you want to have a compact, try to include as many stakeholders as possible into that compact. So try to find middle ground. Try to find a compact that we can all be reasonably happy with. If a stakeholder has indicated, and a stakeholder that did sign the first compact has indicated dissatisfaction, sit down with the stakeholder and try to talk it through. Now, I see the Minister of Health at the signing did say that the President had intended bringing us together, but he was very busy and is not well. Then don't sign, if that's the case. If you want to meet and due to your health or a busy schedule you can't meet, then, delay the signing until you can meet. But we weren't opposed to meet. So, I take the minister's at his word that they did intend meeting us, but they couldn't because of the schedule and president's schedule.
So what then are the implications? I mean, so they've gone ahead without you. It's interesting you used, the word compact and being part of a collective, because obviously the words of government of national unity rings in my ear. I mean, this could well be in an ideal situation, a compact of national unity. So the fact that you're out of it, you as Business Unity, in terms of the signing, how would that impact your relationship in terms of the compact as well as the NHI, Act that you refer to, and overall NHI going forward?
Well, the NHI Act, we still engaging with government on. We made it very clear that we have problems with parts of the Act. We've also made it very clear that if need be, we'll go to court on the procedural aspects of the Act. But the President at the opening of Parliament said that the public and private healthcare sector should be working together to put our country on the road to universal health coverage. And he said that if the NHI Act needs to be looked at to enable that, we should look at it. We want to look at it. And that's what we urging government to do.
And just lastly, then what about the Act so troubles you?
Well, there are a number of issues. One, there's been no explanation of how all of this will be funded. Two, it effectively crowds out the private sector instead of crowding in the private sector, and so goes contrary to what the President said, that the public and private sector should be working together. There are other procedural issues as far as the way Parliament and the NCOP conducted itself in this process. So there are a number of issues that were problems.
Okay, let's see what develops further coming out of this. Kesh Kuvadi, I appreciate you giving off your time. CEO of Business Unity South Africa. As it stands, they signed that very first one of the two in terms of the NHI, but certainly not the second one, and certainly not signing the Presidential Health Compact. And the President didn't wait for them, didn't delay, although they had asked for a delay. What do you make of that? Does it get your pulse rate racing? It probably would, depending on which side of the fence that you sit on.
Catch me, Bonang Mateba, on a fresh reality series that showcases the business behind being a business. Get to experience an intimate look at my life with family, personal growth, and my mission to uplift young women. Jet with me as we prepare to crown a lucky chaser. Be grounded, be entertained, and be dazzled. Monday, 6 p.m. on S3, it's a date with you and B. Catch Bedazzled by Bonang on S3 every Monday at 6 p.m.
We can do this. It's been a long time coming. This deserves to grow. It's a great business. If they don't like it, someone else will. And fund me so I can expand. Maybe I can offer them shares. I need to retain equity for staff. It's going to be good for recruitment. Yeah.
Possible begins with that one great idea. When Telkom enables entrepreneurs to make their ingenuity a reality, we grow local economies. Telkom. Possible begins here.
Feel Good Fridays just got even better with a brand new Expresso newsletter, The Feel Good Fix. Delivered to your inbox every Friday, it is your weekly dose of joy, entertainment, and local flair. Subscribe now at expressoshow.com and never miss a moment.
From heartwarming stories to tasty recipes, it's all there waiting for you. And remember to tune in to the Expresso Morning Show weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on S3, and let's start your day right and channel your inner feel good.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Looking at a picture via Twitter of the X platform with from Stan Pizza driving from Mahikeng to Lichtenburg in the northwest. Stan, thanks for being connected to the National Parks. Nice shirt, by the way. All check, almost like tartan. Not quite tartan, but certainly check shirt, which is really nice. I've retweeted you and thank you for that, right? And there's further comments we've got. And there's another picture from, I think it's Zachariah, driving from Phoenix to Overport, ardent listener of SAFM. And Ashraf, miss you, Stephen Hood as well. You know, Stephen's gone and we wish him well. But you can listen in particular on the 2nd of September. Tula Sizwe Simalani will host the morning show on SAFM. So looking forward to that, isn't it? Ashraf, Floyd was misled from resigning from the EFF to the MK Criminals, and I mean leaving to join as a national organizer. A position that is useless is a disgrace, and the real reasons are that he's running away from accountability as the VBS heist is coming and he's trying to hide from accountability. And remember, the media reported earlier that the EFF leadership was on the warpath regarding VBS, and this is not strategic at all. Well, who knows? We will see how that plays out. Okay, let's get to. I'll check out voice notes as well. Let's get calls now. To Durban we go. Bongani in Durban. Hello.
Thank you, Ashraf. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. Right. Let's talk about William Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I often say, these old shows, they get kind of aired again in SABC. And I wonder, because those shows are basically entertainment, why can't Dr. Will Smith video, teaching videos, obviously it must have been archived at SABC. Why can't they put them back on air? Because definitely, even if it's gone, his legacy will continue to keep benefiting the current generation and the generation to come. That means his legacy must keep on giving to us.
I agree with you. I completely agree, and I think two things from an SABC platform point of view to do a rerun of those. I think would be great. And then in today's world, you can also cut them into smaller sound bites and play them on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, because that's what allows now. So I think you're right, because his teaching will not have changed. Certain new concepts may be different, but I would guess 90% would be exactly as relevant today as they were then. Right? So Bongani, good point.
Definitely.
Much appreciated. Nice. Thank you for that. Let's get to Newlands. I suppose it's Newlands, not Newlands East, but Newlands in Cape Town. Mike, hi.
Yes, hi, Ashraf. Thanks for taking my call.
Hope the weather's good. It's been lousy in the last few weeks. I know that. Before that, yeah.
It's awesome. It's cleared up, and today is one of those magic Cape Town winter days.
Okay.
So no, we've been blessed with great weather.
Okay.
But tomorrow, not so good.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, Ashraf, quickly on the union situation. My life used to be a bit of a misery in the old days. We used to have a lot of strikes here. And always the civil service union guys used to go out and strike under Kasatu and create absolute havoc. And I was listening to the union guy on the radio this morning complaining about the fact that he wants more money. And I was going to ask you to ask him the question is, look, how does he expect to get more money from people like myself and many others who don't have the extra money to give him? The government, I will agree with the unions. The government has money. There's no doubt about that. We discussed that the diversity and transformation scam that the Gauteng government run. We know that I think they buy rabbits for 1.3 million, and a fish farm has just collapsed. And Skolani George, how's him? He's a civil servant. He earns what is he?
Okay, but now you digress, Mike. Mike, don't digress.
Sure,
I hear you.
I don't want to digress, but the point I want to make is that Ashraf, we need to actually find out what these union members earn. What the lady that runs the union, I forget her name right now. And let's talk to her and find out, because at the end of the day, these guys go on strike, make our lives a misery, but the money comes from us. And they don't seem to...
Well, look, I hear you. It is complex. They have the right to strike, but it's complex because sometimes the expectation of, companies, in this case, maybe this is the city of Joburg, but in other cases, companies have got a lot of money, and I don't think that's really the case. They don't have loads of money. Yeah.
They brought Joburg to a standstill. People are battling to make a living out there, wouldn't dream of going on strike and inconvenience anybody else.
Okay.
But these guys seem to think they own the place.
Okay, got that. Thanks for that call, Mike, and enjoy the Cape Town weather. Right, here's a couple of more comments. Ashraf, thanks for bringing us good memories through the life of Will Smith. Actually, he called himself Will, and I always thought to myself, oh, good name. So there you are. And the other guy, the actor, called himself Will as well, so probably named himself after Will Smith. Like, hey, that one will stick, don't you think? Right. Okay, let me just see if I can pick out some of the voice notes. By the way, do you know, I picked up something now from my own stories on Facebook, and it reminded me that today, 1 year ago today, was the opening day of the BRICS Summit. And of course, I was in the privileged position of being the MC, program director on the opening day, so I had a full insight into, goodness, man, the pressure, the tensions, the expectations, the different leadership. That was exactly 1 year ago today. But here's the thing to you. 1 year later, what's your thoughts of where are the BRICS and nice more members, where's it heading now? Think about that.
Hi, Ashraf. The word that comes to mind when it comes to MKP is finally, in capital letters. Finally, we are having people that are focused on freeing, not superficially, but wholly and truthfully, freeing us from the shackles of apartheid. Thank you very much.
Okay, there's finally someone said, here's another one on the top.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. The top 8 is excellent, but let us see if they can deliver at the parliament, because we are waiting for the opposite bench now to see if they can fight their opponent that they withdraw from. Otherwise, it is useless to say it's good to have Floyd Shivambo that side, but at the very same time, they will do nothing at the parliament. Thank you, Benjamin Etbuyelan.
Well, there you are. Someone said it's like any top 8, like the football version of top 8. You still have to deliver and see who comes out top in the top 8. 5:30, here's the news headlines with Greg.
Quick look at the headlines. 2 suspects have been arrested following the discovery of a drug lab worth 18 million rand in Douglasdale in Johannesburg. The M2 and M1 North highways in Johannesburg have now been reopened to traffic after being blocked by SAMU members. And the Indian Prime Minister says his government is willing to offer any help it can to end the conflict in Ukraine. There's a full update at the top of the hour.
SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Moving into Pretoria with a major route closure. This is Eskia Pathlali Drive, one of the busiest routes out of Pretoria this time of afternoon. It's closed through Marabastad up towards Vanderhof due to a truck crash. Motorists are being diverted, I guess, along Blue Street and then down to sort of Paul Kruger as your alternative routing. There's some very heavy traffic in that part, that western part of the Pretoria CBD, and other motorists are going further west and hooking into Transurania up to Bremer through the Vanderhof via Dusport Tunnel, and that is just grinding that route to a complete standstill. That's a very heavy backlog. In fact, it's probably the heaviest backlog across Gauteng this afternoon, and that really is saying something. Major delays between Camperdown and Ashburton on your way through to Pietermaritzburg. A truck crash before Ashburton. The road was closed. It's reopened, but there's only one lane open to funnel that backlog through. Durban's M4, Blue Lagoon through the Sun Coast. A crash there causing big delays both ways, and a crash on the N2 South before KwaMashu Highway, so coming through from Gateway City. And Cape Town, the South Peninsula side, we've got protesting again this afternoon. Saw it this morning. It's erupted again today. M5, Prince George Drive around Military Road and Joe Marks Boulevard. So there's just a lot of congestion through Retreat, through Grassy Park, and out through local routes in the Steenberg side as well. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Yeah, so they've been talking about top 8 with the MK, but that's not talking the football top 8, but you've got another news around football, so let's go.
Absolutely. I'm starting with some good news. UWC are through to the final of the CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers after beating Young Buffalo 6-0. The result sees them setting a record of the only team to score 6 goals in a single match, and goals by Nondumiso Manengela, Bongeka Gamete, Ntombi Ndlovu, Tiffany Korkia, Koketso Mamabolo and Sibulele Holweni sealed the win for UWC. So they're well on track to join rivals Mamelodi Sundowns ladies in the CAF Women's Champions League final tournament, and a big congratulations to the ladies. Staying with football, Orlando Pirates coach Jose Rivero has stressed the importance of killing off the game early when they host Disciples FC of Madagascar in the second leg of the CAF Champions League preliminary round. The two teams lock horns at Orlando Stadium tomorrow evening at 7:30, a game that will be live or that will be shown on SABC Sport after Pirates were held to a goalless draw in Mauritius last Sunday. Rivera says that killing off their game early will work in their favor.
I wish, but not tomorrow. Each and every game, it's us. It's about us. It's about find our rhythm as soon as possible. In the game, have a good beginning. Obviously, it's gonna be key. I can tell you a pile of typical sentences in this type of scenarios, but the truth is that we need to play close to our best performance one more time. Is what we are looking for. Having a good beginning in every game is gonna be a key. Respecting the opponent, because even though we dominate, we have a terrible amount of chances to score there. It was strange that the game finished 0-0.
Moving on to basketball, it's less than 2 weeks to go to the Under-18 Basketball African Championships in Johannesburg. However, there's concerns as South Africa is yet to announce the national team, the venues of the matches, or plans to accommodate teams from 12 countries across the continent. The tournament, officially titled the FIBA Under-18 AfroBasket, will be hosted in Johannesburg from the 1st to the 14th of September. A training squad was announced in July, consisting of 25 boys and 25 girls, but a final squad of 12 players with 3 reserves for each team is yet to be announced, and we'll definitely keep you up to date with this developing story. Then in netball, Spar Proteas head coach Jenny van Dijk says that she is pleased that the players are adapting well to the new technical staff as they wrap up their week-long training camp. Van Dijk added that the camp afforded them time for assistant coach Zanele Mdodana to assess the progress of the team and to help new players blend into the system. Now, the Proteas will face a test against Malawi in the Spar Challenge next month and possibly against other African teams to which Netball South Africa has extended invitations. Also, the finalists of the 2024 Momentum G Sport Awards were unveiled today. Tatiana Smith, Laura Fulvard and Khotazo Munjani are the headline finalists for this year's awards. Smith nominated in a category because she's made history, becoming the first South African female to win a world title with her 200-meter breaststroke victory at the World Aquatics Championship in July last year, and went on to become the most decorated South African after her gold and silver at the Olympics. And Fulvard nominated for the role that she's played as the Proteas woman captain, while Munjani celebrated after clinching the US Open and Wimbledon titles or doubles titles over the past year. And finally, in rugby, Swayze de Bruin is determined to not only prepare the Springbok woman for a best ever performance at next year's World Rugby World Cup in England, but also to deliver eye-catching performances at next month's WXV2 in Cape Town. SA Rugby confirmed De Bruin's appointment as performance coach for the Springbok woman yesterday, and the experienced coach already got stuck in early with the first training camp in Gqeberha. She was impressed with the input received from his coaching staff, and says that they're all set to start to prepare for the WXV2 and the Women's Rugby World Cup. On that note, it is a wrap from my side.
Listen, I want to ask you, I've had like 2 messages today from people say, please get us rugby tickets for the Springboks. They play 2 matches, right? So they play the All Blacks next week. I've got it right. Next week, Saturday, Johannesburg. The week later, Cape Town.
Yeah.
Please, we want tickets. And I'm like, I don't have myself. I've been a bit lax, and they want tickets. So can they get tickets? I thought I'll ask Tumi.
It's too late.
That rhymes. To me, too late. Too late.
Unfortunately, it's too late.
Too late now. Well, there you are. Okay, Tumi says too late. Sorry, man. Can't say much more.
Skisi, if I could, I would give out a lot of tickets. But that said, I am doing Khapele Mudimukyo.
The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, Jimmy, of course, hosts the SAFM Market Update as always. Jimmy, let's start with your moving markets. Tell me about that. Sibanye and Toyota.
Good evening, Ashraf. Good evening to the listeners. Yes, one company is looking outside of South Africa. One company is looking into South Africa. Sibanye finalized the last round of financing on some European operations that are set to get their lithium project off the ground. It's set to be a very big project that's going to contribute towards their business and help them continue to diversify as a business. And Toyota announced today that they are entering into a new partnership with a Thailand-based company to open up a new manufacturing plant in South Africa that's set to be another 1.2 billion or so in investments into South Africa. The Minister of Trade, Industry and International Corporations, Parks Tau, was actually at the opening of this particular manufacturing facility, or the launch of the facility, and it's set that it's going to be a very, very big facility benefiting South Africa. So we're going to look at that. We're actually going to speak to Toyota South Africa CEO around that, and then we've got a conversation with the Sibanye team as well around their expansion or their operations from their side. And then we've got a conversation taking a look at some warnings from the National Financial Ombudsman around the latest fraud schemes that are making their rounds within the banking space and how consumers can protect themselves against that. And then we're taking a look at some interesting developments from the World Bank. They put out a report around how they're seeing South Africa's trade picture, and the International Trade and Administration Commission in South Africa disagrees with some of the views of the World Bank. We're going to look at that as well, speak to the International Trade and Administration Commission to see why they disagree and what can be done there. And then we've got our SME feature on a Thursday, and this week we're taking a look at an interesting business called Homebouw. I've got a conversation with the founder, Tina Long, who recently finished a stint on MasterChef South Africa. So lots to look forward to on the show. But before we get to the show, the markets have been in a bit of turmoil just off the back of the start of that Jackson Hole Symposium today. It kicked off today, and looking at how the markets have been moving, it seems as though the moment the US markets opened, the dollar got a lot stronger and other markets got a lot weaker. But let's do a summary of what's been moving some of the markets throughout the day. Asian markets were a bit of a mixed bag. The only one in the red really was the Chinese markets. Hong Kong was up 1.2%. The Nikkei in Tokyo up 0.5%. The Sydney ASX was up 0.4%. European markets mostly in the green. The FTSE was flat in London. The DAX in Germany and the CAC in France were up 0.33% each. Not such a good day on the local front. Looks as though we're giving back some of the gains we made earlier in the week. Resources down a full 2% today. Financials down 1%. Industrials, the only saving grace, up 0.5%, but nonetheless the all share was down 0.4% or 0.5% or so. The top 40 was down 2/3%, and as I said, the rand weakened against the dollar off the back of that dollar strength. Over the last sort of 2 to 3 hours, the dollar index has been doing really well. The rand against the dollar at the moment, $1 will cost you 18 rand and 2 cents, so we're back above 18 rand, almost 1% weaker than where we were this time yesterday. We're at about 23 rand 59 for one British pound, and about 20 rand and 2 cents for €1. 1 Australian dollar will cost you 12 rand and 9 cents. Quick look at commodity movements. Gold price not having the best time. Obviously that is inversely correlated with the dollar. So as the dollar gets stronger, the gold price will more than likely get weaker, and that has been the case. It is back at $2,476 an ounce. We were above 2,500 yesterday. Brent crude $76.88 a barrel. Very good for us for the hopes of petrol price cuts at some point. Platinum price, palladium price, all still below $1,000. $946 in the case of platinum, $913 in the case of palladium, and silver also shedding some gains at $29 an ounce. So we've got lots to dig into. But before we come back, quick look at Bitcoin, $60,346 a coin there, gaining quite a bit of ground. Ethereum still hovering around that $2,500 or $2,600 level there. Bitcoin price in rands is still below 1.1 million. It's at 1,086,000, and we'll come back with these and other stories later on.
Right, and before you go, part of our daily, markets masterclass. So here's a question. Talk to me about diversification of investments. What is, let's play that out.
Exactly what Sibanye is doing. So Sibanye, as a miner, one of the most diversified miners that we have in South Africa, you kind of want to look at alternatives, maybe that perhaps stay within your wheelhouse, but that might be adjacent to your current business in an effort to diversify against the exposure that you have. So if you think about a Sibanye that has operational interests in gold mining, but now also in nickel and copper mining, those different metals perform at different prices, and therefore if one market is doing well, another market might not be doing so well. The beautiful thing about diversification is you can diversify any portfolio, your property portfolio, your investment portfolio, your share portfolio. Anything that you're looking at from an investment perspective can be diversified into similar things or complete opposite things, depending on your investment strategy. It's probably one of the best tools that you can use if you're managing your investments, to have a bit of exposure to everything, a little bit of everything, rather than having too much of one thing. Basically not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Okay, now I get it. That last line sums it up. Thanks for that. Enjoy a great show coming up from 6 to 7, and then sport follows thereafter. Let's get to some voice notes that we'll do it right away. Don't forget, we'll have the MK Party spokesperson coming up after, 10 to 6, so do not miss that. Still so much commentary on Floyd Chibambo.
Hi, Ashraf. This is Monde from Kabekhan. if Shivambu is an honest person, as Jacob Zuma puts it out today to us, can you please ask Jacob Zuma if Shivambu was an honest man when he was shouting at him to pay back the money that Zuma stole from us? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, got that. When we get a chance to talk to him, here's another.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. My name is Titus. My view on this MK High Command leadership is that it looks like a tribal arrangement, a tribal organization. If you look at all those leaders there, they're predominantly Zulu. So it is a tribal organization. That's my view.
But does that mean they are tribal purely because they're predominantly Zulu? I mean, tribal would mean what for you? Does that mean that they distinctly tribal as a qualification that you have to be of that tribe, or does it have a majority of a certain persuasion? I mean, there is a difference, meaning like Orania. What would you call Orania? I mean, I would call that more tribal than anything else, because if you don't fit into that tribe, then you don't fit in at all, as an example, right?
Hi Ashraf and the SFM listener. Thanks for Shivambo after he leaving the EFF and not forming his own party, because it will be a disaster. He will going out from the EFF with 2 people only and be like those other parties which are millions in numbers, but we don't know what they're doing. They just like rejecting every now and then when they're coming in, instead of like maybe taking the country forward with the other countries, just to destabilizing the other parties. That's their purpose, without doing anything for this country. But really here they cool.
And there's a couple more. I think there's another clip to play. Let me just double check that with Phineas, who does all the controlling, whether we can play that clip if he's ready. Now we'll do that in a few seconds. Here's another.
Hello, Ashraf. Yesterday, Zuma was number 1 Floyd Shivambu's enemy. To him, he was a constitutional delinquent, an incorrigible thief. But today, they are causing up. This is quite a marriage of convenience. Wow. Something has been offered really to Floyd. Whatever it is.
But don't you think a marriage of convenience can apply to the government of national unity as well? They can probably apply even to that progressive forum as well. I mean, it is that. It is a marriage of convenience where a party sees a vested interest in being there versus someone who doesn't see any benefit in being there. I mean, that can apply. It can apply to me being on the air. Like, I see an interest, a vested interest for myself to say, held it. I've been asked to host the show, so okay, there's reason for me. I mean, do you get that? I mean, that applies to just about every one of us. So why would we be surprised when it comes to the politics of the day? Okay, I just want to get a thumbs up. We're gonna play a soundbite just now. Here's another, and the majority of the comments reflects the national pulse, which is MK.
Ashraf, good afternoon to you. Welcome back to the show again this afternoon. Great show always. The team. Zango JJ, there's nothing to clap hands for MK. The top 8 or the top 10 or the top 6 ranking. There's nothing to clap hands, because tomorrow those people who have been elected, they can be exited or exit. I don't know what to say in English, but they can be exited anytime. That is MK.
So here's a couple of comments. Floyd Shivambu just went to the MK party to meet with the other VBS looters, and that comes from Intaka Kusa. And here's another one. Hope the MK will change South Africa for the better. That's in Conto. And here's another one from Marie Louise. Why on earth is SAFM giving the MK and the EFF so much airtime and energy? Neither can be considered a credible political party. Marie Louise. They are part of our democracy. You do realize that, don't you? I mean, they contested an election. We're not talking about a party outside the political party spaces. In fact, the MK party is the opposition party, officially the party in opposition. And they just had a media briefing today. How do we ignore that? How do we ignore the fact that Floyd Shivambu, who was part of the third biggest party a few weeks ago, then became the fourth one, decided to move to the official opposition? if something else happened like that in any other political party, we would do exactly the same thing. Well, talking about the MK party, and by the way, the media doesn't give it oxygen. We reflect the reality. It's the parties that provide their own oxygen. Anyway, Floyd Shivambu said this about what makes the MK party, well, in his opinion, rather special.
And what is unique about Umkhonto as a party, and it's a purposeful, foundational approach and principle, is to assemble people who can govern society to come and govern society in South Africa. It's not wishful thinking to say that we've got these ideas of what we're going to do. Is to assemble the best of the best. So if you were to check even with the people that have been identified now, the first consignment that is going to the National Assembly, if you go to check their track record objectively and not bled by these nonsense of right-wing media platforms, you will accept that the contributions that Brian Molefe did in the public investment corporations, in Transnet, in Eskom, you will appreciate the contributions that Esiyabonga Gama did and contributed in Transnet, stable organizations. Whatever can be said, even with the former SARS commissioner, there have been a lot of things which were misled about for a very long time, that everyone else who is not a puppet of the establishment is enemy of the people. That is not the case. And people will think that I'm saying this because I'm on this platform now only. You can check the public statements and writings and articles and even interviews that we did when we came to the realization that for a very long time we were misled in terms of our characterization of society. They said there's capture because they were no longer in control of key state institutions. The white capitalist establishment was no longer in control, and then they said there's a crisis. If there was truly a crisis, why is that crisis not there now? Like, can they show us the crisis which they said existed before? So to assemble the best of the best amongst black people to govern society is a best decision.
Well, there you are. But I'll tell you what, as Floyd Shivambu praises some of the people who've been now part of the MK party, obviously many of them have got allegations against him, including himself. And then some may say, well, how do you ignore the allegations against Jacob Zuma himself in terms of what was presented at the state capture report? You can't just deny that. Here's a quick one from Sydney, who's doing a great job. Sydney, Ashraf, last Ronaldo update, as you requested, approaching 22.5 million subscribers in just a day and 2 hours. The man has a large following. He clearly has, right? And then Sydney has to throw in, I'm also a Man United fan, by the way. Glory, Man United. Maybe include me and say I'm a hopeful Man United fan, hoping that things can turn around. But in terms of the Ronaldo factor, we're talking about his YouTube podcast. One day, 22 million subscribers. I said it'll probably end up at 40. Or did I say 30? Let's see where that ends up in a few days' time. It's quite the phenomenon. And the other Ronaldo was called the phenomenon. That's the one from Brazil, just by the way. We'll talk to, I'm not going to say the phenomenon of the MK party, but it's certainly strange, isn't it? Next.
Get ready for a magical night filled with hope and positivity at the Night of Hope event, 25th August, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. live. Join Lotus FM Pastor Niven Lauman for a special 2-hour broadcast of the Gospel Hour live at one of Durban's most prestigious venues, the Durban Christian Center Dome. This will be a historic reach, calling the greater Durban community to come together for a night of prayer and embrace, together with SABC to present live from the venue to a greater South African audience. Tickets are free. Secure your spot by booking online through Cricket today. Don't miss out on this unforgettable, historic night for South Africa. See you there.
X at SFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Well, it certainly has been an eventful day, as just about every day is the case on this show, and therefore I think our title, the National Pulse. What is it that reflects the pulse of the nation? Every day, different things reflects it. Today, it's clearly has to be the MK party. On the one hand, it's also got to be that strike in Johannesburg, or the disruption of the highways regarding the summer workers, and there could be other things too, right? So let's talk then about the MK party. Just to wrap up the show, my guest now on an eventful day for the parties, Ntlamulo Ndlela, the MK party spokesperson. Good chatting to you as always. Thanks for your time.
Good evening, actually, to yourself, and good evening to your listeners.
Thank you. So I did say it's an eventful day, and I'm not going to run through everything that's been discussed, but perhaps from your point of view, take us, give us a sense of what went into the choosing of the 8 key people that made up what we call now the top 8 of the National Command, or the National High Command.
Well, it's been an eventful week, I'd actually say. Look, Ashraf, we've stated and continue to state that we have an interim structure that where we deploy members in leadership roles within that interim structure based on their experience, competence, and strength. What you have there are cadres that we believe are the right leaders with the right background and are grounded enough to help advance the organization in terms of formulation of the structure and professionalizing the organization as a whole. Remember, we now have to be focusing on the 2026 local elections, and pivotal to that would be the formation of a machinery that actually works. So that's actually what we have as a leadership that's been announced today.
It's interesting. We've been speaking about, obviously your role now to properly regulate yourself as a party. Some were saying, where's this national convention? And therefore, were these people, the top 8, elected? Were they appointed? And the counter to that is that, and this is an interesting part that the MK party has done well in spite of not having all these other bricks put into the building, because it is still a baby party, isn't it?
And I think that's a key point to bring to the fore here, Ashraf, because most of those that have been making such comments in the public saying, well, this MK doesn't have structures, it's not organized. Any leader of a political party that could go and say that should actually be embarrassed to say that, because then that means that you were actually outwitted and beaten hands down in a bloodbath by an organized structure. What does that say about your structure? Now, we're solidifying, and building a foundation of a party whose machinery, as we know very well, is going to be far-reaching and, be able to represent our people organically. So that's where we're at.
Right. Let's talk about the appointment of Floyd Shivambu as the national organizer. Why the national organizer and not something else, and what went into that?
Look, naturally, Floyd is a co-founder of the EFF. The man has got a lot of insights, key learnings from the formation of the EFF, and those are learnings that we could certainly use. Lessons learned are very critical, especially at this juncture we're at, where we're obviously preparing ourselves to professionalize the organization. And it will only fast-track, based on his insights, the key pillars that we need to implement in terms of the formulation of the organization from an organization perspective. So it's just a natural move and a natural decision and a natural fit for him. It fits hand in glove that he played that kind of a role, because that's exactly the role he played within the EFF, and we needed those kind of skills, especially at this critical point.
Okay, we've got about a minute, so I'm going to have to rush this. Just explain the MK position of having MK party members, elected into Parliament and then effectively withdrawn. And as you also know now, there's been 10 party members expelled who've now approached the courts. Just help us understand this. You've got a minute, so we're going to have to rush this here.
Look, we didn't expel anyone. And it continues to say this. There's no member was in Parliament that's been expelled. These are members that knew from the onset that they were going to be replaced. but they decided that they were still going to go in and be sworn in, which is fine. I mean, Parliament allows for that. We allowed them to do that, but knowing very well at some point we're going to replace them. So for our comrades to now want to take us to court and want to Jabulani Kumalo themselves, it's sad. But again, we're dealing with human beings.
All right, but they were saying, and we chatted yesterday about it. Just like they ideally they couldn't speak to the chief whip, they couldn't speak to Jacob Zuma, and they were very clear they're part of the MK because they supported of Jacob Zuma, but they were saying there's no two-way communication with him, but they're here for him. So, I mean, you've got 30 seconds to answer this, right? Why would there be no communication, or is there? Is somebody lying?
President Zuma has been open to anyone. I think if you heard the SG today, he said clearly, categorically, that he just queues and queues of people, and President Zuma sees everybody. So to create this perception, especially when you're a member of Parliament, to not be given an opportunity to speak to the chief whip or the president, I mean, that is clear desperation at its best to try and, diminish what in actual fact is a good thing going on here, which is us being official opposition and blemishing us in a way that we shouldn't be blemished. So it's just sheer desperation.
And we wonder,
Zuma is available. The chief whip has always been available.
Well, maybe if they can't connect him, we're going to connect him through you, because I mean that's exactly what you are there for, this conduit between disgruntled members of one party and the president of the same party. But as they say, tomorrow is another day, so let's leave it at that. Intlamulo Indlela, the MK party spokesperson, appreciate your time. This is the National Pulse. We've had 3 hours of hectic news coverage, and some heavy and some light and some award-winning stuff as well. And you have played a major role in effectively moving the National Pulse, as you do every day. So some thumbs up to you. We'll do it again tomorrow. Let's get the news now. Here's Greg House.
Thank you again, Ashraf. Enjoy the rest of your evening. In this news update, a major drug bust in Johannesburg and highways reopened after SAMU protest. Good evening to you. 2 suspects have been arrested following the discovery of a drug lab worth 80 million rand in Doug.